In the Linjiang Premium Hotel of Dragon Country, a man and a woman had just finished playing poker. What do you think Yifan would think if he knew you were working part-time for me on New Year's Eve? Don't mention that poor loser brother Jiang. How about I be with you instead? Jiang Yang's face curled into a cold sneer as he looked at the gold-digging woman known as the class beauty of finance class, for a flicker of disgust hidden in his eyes. Just an empty shell with a pretty face. If you want to officially become my girlfriend, it depends on your performance. Jiang Yang sat on the sofa, allowing the scheming woman before him to serve him. He closed his eyes in enjoyment, digesting the complicated information flooding his mind. He never expected that he had transmigrated. The same name, the same appearance, the same relentless opposition to the discharge of nuclear wastewater. Some humans have lost their reverence for nature. What was different was that Jiang Yang in this world was the heir to a top multinational corporation. Truly a super-rich second generation. It must be said that Jiang Yang in this world was really carefree, just recovered from illness and already hooking up with the class beauty. Got too excited and died of cardiac arrest before the poker game even started. Speaking of which, the culprit was this woman before him. And it was at this moment that he transmigrated. The first thing after transmigrating, Jiang Yang ruthlessly avenged the original owner and had his way with her. He hadn't expected that this woman had remained chaste for years. Seemed she was just waiting for the best offer. Did she really think she could cling to him? What wishful thinking. After digesting the original owner's memories, Jiang Yang sighed with emotion. Having money was truly good. There was no need for any tricks. Just where a Vacheron Constantin park and Aston Martin at the school gate, and countless beauties would throw themselves at him. Take the class beauty diligently serving him now. Just a few designer bags were enough to succeed in hooking up, though of course she probably valued his status more. Transmigrating as a super-rich playboy was a good thing, but the world he transmigrated into was somewhat troublesome. Originally, he thought he had transmigrated into an ordinary parallel world where he could throw his weight around with his current wealth. He never imagined it was a novel world on the brink of an apocalypse. He had to prepare well. After the apocalypse, money is worse than dirt. Strength is king. The problem now was that the protagonist of this world was not him, but a man named Yifan, ordinary, attending the same school as him, a grassroots kid who had studied hard to get out of a small town. Such a background was nothing special. After graduation, he might even end up working for him. But Jiang Yang, who had read the original novel, knew that the other party was a reincarnator who had lived 7 years in the apocalypse and would awaken his past life memories 1 hour before the apocalypse struck. And he himself was about to become a villain who wouldn't survive 3 chapters for having slept with his girlfriend. Fortunately, Yifan only knew the plot before his rebirth. But he knew the plot after Yifan's rebirth. In other words, Yifan was on the 2nd level, while he was on the 5th. He had to deal with Yifan in advance. This was simple. Since the apocalypse was coming soon, even if he left some clues, it wouldn't matter. Suddenly at that moment, ding! Opportunity plunder system activated. Opportunity plunder system, what does that mean? Host: by plundering the opportunities of the planes chosen one, you can obtain rewards. Current planes, chosen one, Yifan. I see every transmigrator comes with a system. If I kill Yifan, will I get a reward? Yes, plundering the life of the planes chosen one also yields rewards. Wait, if I just kill him like that, won't I be unable to get further rewards in the future? Killing the planes chosen one will put the system in a dormant state until the next chosen one is bound. I see. Jiang Yang felt a headache coming. Jiang Yang, who had read countless classic apocalypse novels in his past life, knew that when facing a planes chosen one must never let down one's guard. A single fatal strike was necessary, no feeding experience points. However, the apocalyptic world was full of dangers anyway. If he could extract enough benefits from Yifan, it would be highly advantageous for his own future development in the apocalypse. Moreover, even Yifan had gone through countless near-death experiences in the novel. This made things difficult. Originally, Yifan was a thorn in his flesh. Now, because of the system, Yifan had instead become a leek ready to be harvested. Suddenly, Jiang Yang thought, system, haven't I already slept with Yifan's girlfriend? Is there a reward? Yes. Congratulations, host, the system warehouse has been activated. Congratulations, host, you have obtained Captain America serum. System, how big is the warehouse now? Reporting to host, currently only 10 square meters. It can be upgraded by plundering the planes chosen one's opportunities. I understand. After processing the system information, Jiang Yang cast a sidelong glance at the class beauty, Tanya, who was diligently serving him. Although she was a profit-seeking schemer, luckily she had value. After all, she was Yifan's girlfriend. Jiang Yang remembered that in the novel this woman betrayed Yifan. Jiang Yang was all too familiar with this trope. The reincarnated protagonist in an apocalypse novel must have a girlfriend who betrays him. Reason unknown, maybe readers like it. However, if Yifan awakened his past life memories, she would not only lose her usefulness, but also expose his presence. He had to set up his plans in advance. Tanya, the holiday is coming soon. What plans does your Yi fan have? Jiang Yang grabbed Tang Ya's hair and pulled her up violently. If he were an ordinary person, Tang Ya would have slapped him twice by now. But facing Jiang Yang's hand adorned with a Vacheron Constantin watch, Tang Ya allowed him to grab as he— What do you mean, my Yi fan? Master Jiang Yu. Oh, I understand now. He's just a simp. No, calling him my dog is correct. What can that dumb dog do? Just work to earn money to treat his half-dead sister. Tang Ya looked disdainful and leaned onto Jiang Yang's body. Brother Jiang, let's not talk about that useless thing. Let's continue, okay? Jiang Yang hid the disgust in his eyes. He planned to use her to get close to Yi Fan's sister. Although Yi Fan's sister Yi Qingwei was currently a bedridden invalid, she would awaken powerful abilities after the apocalypse. Many of Yi Fan's crises were resolved by his sister. If he could turn the siblings against each other and gain Yi Qingwei's trust, he would not only obtain a powerful ally, but also likely receive huge system rewards. Plundering Tang Ya had given him Captain America serum. What kind of reward would plundering Yi Fan's sister bring? Even Jiang Yang couldn't imagine. Moreover, there was still some time before the apocalypse began. That meant he could change some events in advance, disrupting the other's life trajectory. In this way, even if Yi Fan awakened his memories, he might think he had lost his mind. No, didn't you have your eye on the new Chanel bag? Jiang Yang opened his phone and transferred a 6-figure sum via WeChat. Buy whatever you want, but I have a condition. What condition? Brother Jiang, just say it. Tang Ya breathed heavily. With so much money, Yi Fan might not earn that in 10 years of working. Indeed, her choice was right. Let's play a game with your little boyfriend. If you perform well, it'll let you become official. How about that? At the word official, Tang Ya's eyes lit up. She couldn't stand being with the poor loser Yi Fan anymore, so she quickly agreed. First step, go transfer the money Yi Fan saved for his sister's treatment and spend it yourself. Jiang Yang waved his hand, signaling Tang Ya to go do it immediately. After Tang Ya left, Jiang Yang walked into the bathroom in disgust. He felt unclean. Yi Fan, don't blame me. After all, I want to survive too. Sorry. In the bathroom, Jiang Yang took out a syringe, Captain America serum. Images from the movie about Captain America flashed through his mind. Does it simply enhance the host's body or enable a 50-50 fight with anyone? Jiang Yang couldn't help but curl his lips slightly. The 50-50 fight was just a cinematic element to enhance Captain America's role. The serum would only grant him several times the physical capabilities of an ordinary person. Without hesitation, Jiang Yang plunged the syringe into his arm. Such resources for enhancing strength should be used as early as possible to realize their value. As the cyan liquid entered his bloodstream, a sharp pain struck. Jiang Yang's face contorted in agony, but felt as though ants were crawling through his veins. Yet the serum's effect was remarkably evident. In the floor-length mirror, Jiang Yang's frail body began to fill out, muscle lines emerged, and he even grew a bit taller. With the scanner, one could see Jiang Yang's muscle fibers continuously tearing and regenerating, while various cells began to divide and transform. The entire process lasted about 10 minutes. Jiang Yang was covered in black grime. After a quick rinse, he stood before the mirror admiring his new self. Tisk, if only Tang Ya hadn't left. Jiang Yang smirked, feeling an excess of power with nowhere to vent. With this body, he might not need to spend much money. His abilities alone could win Tang Ya's undying. In this world, most people after recovery were deficient in their abilities. The original owner was no exception. Countless people online lamented their shortcomings. Conversely, countless women complained about being unsatisfied for too long. After tidying himself up, Jiang Yang first called his parents. With the apocalypse approaching, he had to prepare them. After memory fusion, Jiang Yang felt more affection for his parents in this world. They were always accommodating. Hey mom and dad, are you free these days? What's wrong, Xiao Yang? Did something happen? The slightly tense voice on the other end made Jiang Yang's heart warm. Nothing much. There's a rumor that the recent flu will worsen, highly contagious. You should stock up at home. It took over half an hour to convince his parents. He couldn't tell them about the apocalypse or he'd definitely be sent to a mental hospital. After reassuring his parents, Jiang Yang called his housekeeper. As a super-rich second generation, everything in his life except for entertainment was arranged by this housekeeper. Now he needed the housekeeper to do some tasks for him. Young master finished. The door opened, and a woman in a professional suit walked in. Fair-skinned, beautiful long legs, wearing black stockings, captivating. Xiaowan glanced at the messy room, caught a strange smell in the air, sighed imperceptibly. Young master, which girl have you set your eyes on this time? Xiaowan had been his housekeeper for over a decade, and she knew his habits well. Normally, if he had nothing, he wouldn't call her. Calling her meant he wanted her help to get girls. Ahem. Jiang Yang looked slightly embarrassed. In his memories, he had once harbored improper thoughts about this housekeeper, but she had ultimately outmaneuvered him. Sister Wan, today, it's not about girls. How could I do that every day? Jiang Yang grinned. The original owner really did it every day, even challenging someone right after recovery, which led to his demise. Xiaowan glanced at him, sensing something off. Today's young master seemed different. Then what do you need me for today? Help me investigate someone, Yi Fan. Yi Fan. Xiaowan thought for a moment, her beautiful eyes widening. Wasn't Tanya his girlfriend just now? You played with his woman, and now you want to cause him trouble. It's not like that. Just investigate for me. I have it all figured out. Zhang Yang patted his chest, signaling he had things under control. Xiaowan glared at him a few times before leaving. After all, Zhang Yang was the young master. After Xiaowan left, Zhang Yang changed into clean, sharp clothes. In the original novel, the first chapter was about Yi Fan's rebirth with little introduction to his environment and surrounding characters. Those characters mostly died within the first 10 chapters, not very important, but for the first step of Zhang Yang's plan, they were crucial to success. Xiaowan was investigating Yi Fan, and the bitch would help find Yi Fan's sister. Money made things easy. Now it was time for him to act. He wanted the protagonist's women and also the protagonist's comrades. Rebirth. Let's change the difficulty. Zhang Yang glanced at the sky, still early, and took a cab to the Linjiang Bridge in Linjiang City. Then he waited under the bridge. According to the original, after awakening his past life memories, Yi Fan would come to the bridge in about 3 days to find his comrade in arms, the first brother who helped him rise, Wu Lei. In the original, Wu Lei was a big sucker, framed and imprisoned for 10 years. After release, he was disconnected from society and lived under the Linjiang Bridge. But this sucker was far from ordinary. It seemed his luck from the past decade converged at the apocalypse. He actually obtained a hidden class. When the apocalypse arrived, apocalypse shops would appear worldwide offering various classes. Most were mediocre, known as common classes. Beyond common classes were 2 types: hidden classes and inheritance classes, each more powerful. Wu Lei obtained a hidden class called Bronze Man, a massive tank that blocked a lot of damage for Yi Fan. System: if I plunder a supporting character's opportunity, will there be a reward? Yes, a supporting character's opportunity is also the plains child's opportunity. A person could have multiple classes, but Zhang Yang was just asking. He didn't intend to take Wu Lei's opportunity. What he wanted was Wu Lei himself. He waited until dark. Xiaowan sent him several emails with all information about Yi Fan. More comprehensive than the original novel. The housekeeper's work was amazing. Money made things great. Just as he was about to open the attachment, his peripheral vision caught a ragged figure. Wu Lei. There he was. A young man, but dirty all over, clothes full of holes, emanating a sour. This was Wu Lei, about the same age as Zhang Yang, but as downcast as an old man. He picked up a ragged blanket near Zhang Yang's feet and slowly walked away. In a big city, a homeless man had no dignity. Almost everyday troublemakers threw his blanket into the river and smashed his bowl, just to see him embarrassed for entertainment. Wu Lei was used to it, but after just 2 steps, his ragged blanket. What are you doing? Wu Lei looked warily at the young man before him, ready to be hit. I'm not doing anything. That blanket is already so tattered, and you're still covering yourself with it. Zhang Yang said with a smile. In the original story, Wu Lei was willing to follow Yi Fan for life, because Yi Fan avenged him, though that happened a year after the apocalypse. Law and morality had long collapsed, but Yi Fan had avenged Wu Lei, which to Wu Lei was a debt of rebirth. Now he too would help Wu Lei take revenge. Not only that, but also clear his name of injustice. Hearing Zhang Yang's words, Wu Lei let out a self-deprecating laugh. With a life as cheap as mine, it doesn't matter what I cover myself with. You were framed and sat in jail for 10 years. Cheap life doesn't cut it, but you sure qualify as a fool. Zhang Yang didn't beat around the bush. He cut straight to the chase, telling Wu Lei that he had been framed, a wound that had scarred Wu Lei for life. Sure enough, the moment the word framed left his lips, Wu Lei's entire demeanor changed. His murky eyes brimmed with murderous intent. How do you know I was framed? Who are you? Wu Lei grabbed Zhang Yang by the throat, certain he had never seen this man before. How could he know? Back then, Wu Lei had offended a well-connected rich brat and was framed into prison. For 10 years, Wu Lei endured discrimination in prison, and after his release, he was spurned by society. He was just a child from an ordinary family, utterly unable to compete with that wealthy scion. Damn, this guy's got a strong grip. Zhang Yang, with Wu Lei's hand clamped around his neck, would have passed out by now if he hadn't injected himself with Captain America's serum. This fellow has some skill, but grabbing me by the throat right off the bat, that's a bit rude, don't you think? Zhang Yang grasped Wu Lei's hand and gave it a gentle twist. A sound of bones grinding ensued. Wu Lei's face contorted in pain and terror as he stared at Zhang Yang. During his 10 years in prison, he hadn't been idle. He had been training, preparing for a chance to take revenge. Yet after over a decade of honing, he was effortlessly subdued by this slender young man before him. Isn't it strange? My arm isn't even half as thick as yours, yet I can easily pry your hand away. Zhang Yang grinned. Wu Lei, you need to use your brain before you act. The main reason Wu Lei had been sentenced to 10 years was his failure to think things through, otherwise he wouldn't have ended up in prison in the first place. Just who are you? I've never seen you before. Wu Lei released his grip, his entire arm going numb. The one who will clear your name. If you want revenge, follow me. Zhang Yang said no more and simply turned to leave. Wu Lei's obsession with revenge was etched deep in his heart, so he would follow. As expected, after Zhang Yang had walked a dozen meters, Wu Lei caught up. How do you know I was framed? Don't ask so many questions. I'll avenge you and clear your name. From today, how about being my bodyguard? No one in this city is willing to accept you right. Stick with me and I guarantee you'll live the good life. Zhang Yang kept laying out terms. Wu Lei didn't use his brain, and Zhang Yang didn't need him to. What need did a meat shield have for a brain? Walking behind Zhang Yang, Wu Lei was silent for a moment, then nodded emphatically. All right. Wu Lei had been out of prison for a year. The big city was harsh, but with 2 hands and 2 feet, as long as he worked hard, he wouldn't end up a vagrant. Yet because of his criminal record, even a restaurant waiter job was denied to him. So he had to beg. Now this young man had given him an opportunity. Why shouldn't he seize it? After all, his current situation couldn't get any worse. Bringing Wu Lei back to the upscale hotel, Zhang Yang handed him a bank card with 100,000 yuan. By tomorrow, he wanted to see a completely new Wu Lei. After sending Wu Lei off, Zhang Yang began to check the email Xiao Wan had sent him. The information inside was perfectly consistent with what he already knew. Currently, Yi Fan was frantic about finding a summer job. With a major in finance, if his family didn't have any assets or business resources, studying this major was basically useless. Or rather, it would be very hard for him right after graduation. In the original story, Yi Fan didn't go home for the summer. Instead, he stayed in the school dormitory. And Yi Fan's first opportunity was also on campus, a powerful inheritance class. Inheritance classes were unique, only one per class globally. In the original story, this inheritance class was the core of Yi Fan's rise. Might as well be a thorough villain and see things through to the end. Don't blame me. Zhang Yang bought a small company and then had it hire Yi Fan. Didn't he want a summer job? 10,000 a month with room and board. At this point, Yi Fan didn't have his past life memories. He was still an ordinary person, utterly unable to resist the allure of money. Less than an hour after the hiring notice was sent, the manager of that small company relayed to Zhang Yang that Yi Fan had already called the company several times, ready to move his things. After hanging up, a slight smile crept onto Zhang Yang's lips. Tanya had also sent word that she had already spent all the money Yi Fan had saved. And tomorrow Yi Qingwei was going to have surgery. Without the operation fee, what would happen? Having recruited Wu Lei, meeting the female lead tomorrow, and sending Yi Fan away from the vicinity of Linjiang University, Zhang Yang's plan was already half successful. The next step was to fetch something. In an ordinary dormitory of Linjiang University, his roommates had already moved out early. Yi Fan lay alone on his bed, replaying every scene of his interview with the HR manager, feeling energized and full of motivation. 10,000 a month with room and board. Where can you find such a great deal? Tomorrow I'll have the surgery for Qingwei. I've saved almost enough money. Yi Fan opened his mobile banking app, carefully calculating his balance in his mind. 40,000 yuan. Surgery for Qingwei will cost 30,000, leaving 10,000. He'll spend 8,000 on a bag for Tanya and 2,000 for my own meals these 2 months. Yi Fan was meticulously planning every cent when, just as he opened his mobile banking, he froze. The balance, which should have been 5 digits, had become a single digit after the decimal point. How could this be? Where's my money? Yi Fan sprang up from the bed and began checking his transaction history, only to see a string of charges that would make anyone dizzy. Linjiang University, Antique City. Zhang Yang had walked back and forth 5 or 6 times, his expression somewhat unpleasant. There was also an opportunity here belonging to Yi Fan. His first weapon, a black gold ancient blade. When Yi Fan awakened his memories, he came to find this blade immediately. The apocalypse had descended. Flora and fauna mutated among humans. There were professionals and ability users, and some items would also become tools containing unknown power. Especially items with a story, such as a murderer's weapon, would most likely become weapons with certain attributes. And this black gold ancient blade, forged by ancient people from a meteorite, possessed an extremely powerful characteristic. Not only was the ancient blade itself sharp as iron and indestructible, but each time it killed a monster, it would heal its wielder, and it could also delay the onset of injuries sustained by the user for a period of time. Even fatal wounds could have their onset delayed. Wasn't this precisely a Mingdao, a blade that grants invincibility? In the original story, Yi Fan relied on this blade to battle many powerful foes, ignoring their damage, using the healing after kills to counterbalance the delayed injuries. It was a weapon of burning one's boats and fighting tooth and nail. How could he not take such a fine treasure? However, Zhang Yang had walked around here 5 or 6 times without finding any trace of the ancient blade. When Yi Fan found it originally, he bought it from a small stall for 100 yuan. At the Antique City, stallholders set up on a first-come, first-served basis with no fixed locations, which made things difficult. He also didn't know the name of the stall owner. He only knew it was bought from a stall. Did he have to wait until Yi Fan came for it to appear? This ancient blade was Yi Fan's opportunity, and Yi Fan was the chosen one of his world. Naturally, it wouldn't be displayed openly before Yi Fan's arrival. Jiang Yang took out his phone and called Xiao Wan. The ancient blade wasn't in plain sight, but it must be somewhere in this area. Why not just buy every blade here? There were many things money couldn't do, but there were even more that money could accomplish. After sharing his idea with Xiao Wan, Jiang Yang began to prepare for the next day's affairs. Tomorrow was the day he would make an appearance before Yi Qingwei, so he had to prepare well. Humming a tune, Jiang Yang walked toward the hotel, contemplating other preparations. Dealing with Yi Fan was important, but dealing with the impending apocalypse was even more crucial. The next day, Wu Lei, dressed in a suit, waited early at the hotel entrance. Now, after careful grooming, Wu Lei's appearance had been completely transformed. Clothes make the man was no empty saying. I've already handled your case. The verdict will be overturned soon, and then you can take your revenge. Jiang Yang hadn't forgotten the empty promises he made to Wu Lei. That rich second-generation brat only managed a small factory in Linjiang City. Dealing with such a minor character posed absolutely no pressure. Thank you. Wu Lei had no doubt about Jiang Yang's words. Over the past night, he had thought many things over. Even if Jiang Yang's promises were just pie in the sky, it didn't matter. The impact of 100,000 yuan was enormous on him. With that in mind, Wu Lei took out a bank card and handed it to Jiang Yang. Jiang, boss, there's still 97,000 yuan left. 100,000 yuan he simply couldn't spend it all. Moreover, Jiang Yang giving him 100,000 didn't mean he could spend it freely. The other had said to spruce himself up. Keep it. Consider it this month's salary. A glint of approval flashed in Jiang Yang's eyes. Not being greedy was one of Wu Lei's virtues. Linjiang City First Hospital. Xiaoyu, what did you do with my money? Didn't I tell you? I bought a bag. Didn't I tell you? I would buy you the bag. That was the money for Xiao Wei's surgery. Yi Fan's roar echoed through the hospital corridor, followed by the crisp sound of a slap. Tanya slapped Yi Fan across the face, her eyes full of contempt. You've been saying you'll buy me a bag for how long? Have you ever done it once? Treating your sister's illness. She's not even your real sister. Is it worth going this far? And now you're shouting at me. What are you shouting at? The more Tanya spoke, the angrier she became. Having swiped Yi Fan's money, she felt not a shred of fear, but rather a sense of justification. She had thought he was a promising stock, but after so many years he couldn't earn much and had to save money for his sister's treatment. Moreover, this was a task that Jiang Yang had given her. As long as she completed it, people like Yi Fan wouldn't even be worthy to lick her shoes in the future. Stay here by yourself. I'm buying this bag. If you shout one more word, we're breaking up. Tanya slapped Yi Fan a few more times and left angrily. Having latched onto a wealthy, handsome man like Jiang Yang, she now found Yi Fan increasingly distasteful. Thankfully, she had given her first time to Jiang Yang. If she had given it to a good-for-nothing like Yi Fan, she would probably regret it for life. Inside the ward, a sickly beauty lay in bed, her face pale, as she listened to the quarrel outside, a teardrop trickling from the corner of her eye. Moments later, Yi Fan entered, his face full of guilt. A flicker of disappointment passed through Yi Qingwei's eyes, then she persuaded, Brother, don't argue with Sister Tanya anymore. My illness can't be cured. The surgery only alleviates my condition. Don't waste your money in vain. Despite her disappointment, Yi Qingwei continued to console Yi Fan. At that moment, Jiang Yang had already arrived outside the door. Knock, knock, knock. May I come in? Who are you? Yi Fan still bore several red palm marks on his face. Someone who brings money. A slight smile curled at Jiang Yang's lips. He looked at Yi Qingwei lying on the hospital bed, and his eyes lit up. Her skin was as smooth as jade, her face rosy as a peach. With delicate shoulders and cloud-like hair, she was indeed a heroine from a novel. It was truly not bad looking. However, Jiang Yang didn't dress up too much. Unlike those internet-famous rich second generations, he dressed clean and simple. After all, he was naturally very handsome. Moreover, the dark-skinned and downtrodden Yi Fan beside him formed a contrast like heaven and earth. Are you Miss Yi Qingwei? My name is Jiang Yang. Our company has acquired a song you composed. Jiang Yang extended his hand. He already knew everything about Yi Qingwei. During her illness, she had composed a song that became briefly popular in Linjiang City, but the music company in Linjiang City had cheated her out of the royalty fees. Now that music company had been bought by Jiang Yang. One song. Yi Qingwei thought for a moment, and slowly her eyes began to shine. She had indeed submitted a song, but after submitting it, there had been no news at all. That's right. Jiang Yang took the initiative to hold Yi Qingwei's hand. Long-term malnutrition had made her somewhat bony, but her skin was very smooth and delicate. Miss Yi has great creative talent, so our company has decided to cover all your medical expenses. We hope you can join our company's creative team. No, I hope that a talented fairy like you can shine. A pearl covered in dust is not a good thing. Besides, your song has the power to inspire. Really? The song I wrote is actually very ordinary. Yi Qingwei was joyfully although she denied it humbly in words, it was like meeting a kindred spirit over high mountains and flowing water. How could a talented woman like her have no dreams? To meet someone who appreciated her was even more joyful for Yi Qingwei than having money for treatment. On the other hand, if her illness could truly be cured, she would have more time and energy for creation. However, Yi Fan beside them had already recognized who Zhang Yang was. Wasn't this the ultra-rich young master from their school? Watching Zhang Yang hold Yi Qingwei's hand, Yi Fan suddenly felt agitated. You're Zhang Yang, also from Linjiang University. I'm also from Linjiang University. As far as I know, your family doesn't run a music company. Yi Fan stared straight at Zhang Yang. The other's reputation at school wasn't very good. Drowning in luxury and pleasure every day. Such a person showing up uninvited certainly meant no good. Mister, you seem to know me well. Are you certain I have no music company under my name? Zhang Yang let out a cold snort. As he spoke, he didn't even bother to look at Yi Fan, preferring instead to admire Yi Qingwei's peerless beauty. I told you Miss Ye's songs possess the power to uplift one's spirit. To be honest, Miss Yi and I share a similar experience. I too was once plagued by illness for a time. It was precisely your songs that inspired me, helping me overcome the disease. I never expected that you would be not only exceptionally talented, but also flawlessly beautiful. If you were to debut as a musician, you would undoubtedly become a massive sensation. Upon hearing these words, Yi Qingwei, lying on the hospital bed, felt a warmth in her heart, and a faint blush crept across her cheeks. Were her own compositions really that good? Could he be lying to me just because he thinks him pretty? I'm so skinny, sickly, and not at all plump. How could I be considered beautiful? I almost fell for his sweet talk. Zhang Yang observed the rich changes in Yi Qingwei's expression, and the corners of his mouth curled upward slightly. Clearly the fish had taken the bait. Miss Yi, if you're willing, I can sign a contract with you directly. Rest assured you'll have complete creative autonomy. The company won't interfere with any of your decisions. Zhang Yang pressed his advantage, for Yi Qingwei was after all an innocent and naive young woman. She held many beautiful expectations for this world. In the original novel, even with her formidable special ability, she had nearly fallen into the hands of many people. Yi Qingwei glanced at Yi Fan, who stood nearby. She had always listened to him since childhood, and now she subconsciously looked to him, seeking his opinion. I don't agree. Yi Fan spoke up, stepping between Zhang Yang and Yi Qingwei. We go to the same school. I know what you've done. Tisk, why did he not seem this annoying when I was reading the novel? Zhang Yang felt slightly irritated, but he maintained his patience, mindful that Yi Qingwei was still present. What have I done? I know what you're trying to say, that I'm a playboy, but have you truly understood my life? Have you ever even seen me on campus? The original owner of this body rarely attended school. He was always either challenging others to fights or on his way to one. Yi Fan's expression turned slightly awkward at this. Despite being from the same school, he had genuinely never encountered Zhang Yang. The gap between them was simply too vast. Stealing a glance at Zhang Yang's handsome features, Yi Fan suddenly felt utterly inadequate, and a sense of inferiority crept into his heart. Brother, don't worry. I want to give it a try. Yi Qingwei spoke up, trying to ease the tension. No one wants to lose their life at such a young age, and Yi Qingwei was no exception. Moreover, she felt that Zhang Yang didn't seem like a bad person. After all, she was penniless and a cripple. What could he possibly gain by scheming so hard? She was also willing to believe what Zhang Yang had said, for who wouldn't want a kindred spirit who understood their work? Qingwei, this isn't as simple as you think. Though Yi Fan had no idea what Zhang Yang was plotting, he still felt something was off. Seeing how wary Yi Fan was of him, Zhang Yang sneered inwardly. Taking a bold step forward, he bypassed Yi Fan and stood before Yi Qingwei, speaking with righteous conviction. Miss Yi, your prime years are too precious to be spent lying in bed. Yi Fan, are you telling me you have an overwhelming desire to control your sister? What kind of brother stands in the way of his sister's dreams? To let a young lady as exceptional as Miss Yi remain hidden and unappreciated, you as her brother are quite derelict in your duty. I simply can't stand by and watch. I've already paid the surgery fees. If Miss Yi is willing, feel free to contact me. If not, consider it a gift from a friend. Zhang Yang's words struck like thunder, leaving the two of them with a mix of emotions, each tasting a different flavor. For a moment, neither knew how to respond. Even Yi Qingwei herself didn't realize that a trace of resentment toward Yi Fan had begun to stir within her. As for Yi Fan, he suppressed the inferiority rising in his heart and was about to retort angrily. But before he could, Zhang Yang, without waiting for their stunned reactions, simply turned around and strode away gracefully. Yi Qingwei stared blankly in the direction Zhang Yang had gone, clutching the business card he had left behind, a glimmer of light in her eyes. Zhang Yang exited the hospital, and Wu Lei was waiting beside a Rolls-Royce. Boss, where to? Linjiang Court. Your case has been overturned. Zhang Yang hadn't forgotten his promise to Wu Lei. If he wanted to win the man's loyalty, he had to earn it wholeheartedly. With the backing of immense financial power, Wu Lei's case from a decade ago had been unearthed and overturned overnight. As for the rich second-generation heir who had framed Wu Lei, Jiangyang had him firmly in his grasp. Overturning the case was one thing, revenge was another matter entirely. Thank you, boss. Wu Lei followed Jiangyang into the car, his hands trembling with overwhelming emotion. He had long abandoned all hope of clearing his name and overturning the verdict, never expecting that Jiangyang would actually make it happen. Don't thank me yet. Your revenge is something you must carry out yourself. Jiangyang tossed a pair of boxing gloves to Wu Lei. Don't kill him. That would be troublesome. Inside Linjiang Hospital, Yi Qingwei took out her phone, intending to save the number from the business card into her contacts. But at that moment, Yi Fan snatched the card. Qingwei, listen to me. This man is a notorious playboy. Changing girlfriends daily would not be an exaggeration. You'd better stay away from him. Yi Fan felt a pang of displeasure. He had no money to treat Yi Qingwei, but he didn't want Jiangyang to pay for it either. Least of all did he want Jiangyang to get close to his sister through this. Especially when he saw the fondness in Yi Qingwei's eyes as she looked at Jiangyang. Yi Fan felt a pain worse than death, as if something precious was being taken from him. Brother, listen to yourself. Are you really just like Brother Jiang said, merely wanting a puppet who calls you brother? And judging a person shouldn't be based on what others say. I must see with my own eyes. I believe in him, brother. Do you believe in me? Yi Qingwei looked calmly at Yi Fan. His behavior today had been terribly disappointing. Although Tang Yi had spent all the money meant for her treatment, she wouldn't blame him. After all, it was Yi Fan's savings. Yet the disappointment in her heart could not be concealed. She had always regarded Yi Fan as her pillar, but this time, he had let her down. After all, she had held some hope for the surgery. If that money had been used for Tang Yi's urgent needs, she wouldn't have complained at all. But buying a bag, Yi Qingwei could only sigh helplessly in her heart. Yi Fan, hearing her words, suddenly felt as if his tongue was tied in knots. Before he could sort out his thoughts, Yi Qingwei continued, besides, once I'm cured, you'll have less burden and can live well with Sister Tang Yi. And tell me, have you ever seen a swindler pay the surgery fees up front? This was the first time Yi Qingwei had ever disagreed with Yi Fan. She had always listened to him since childhood, but today it was time for her to make her own choice. A few moments later, several doctors entered and wheeled Yi Qingwei into the operating room. Jiangyang had not only paid for her surgery, but had also specially arranged for the best physicians in Linjiang. At Linjiang Court, the process of overturning the case was swift. However, that wasn't the main focus. The real point was Wu Lei's vengeance. Now in a dim little room, the rich second-generation heir who had framed Wu Lei was stuffed into a sandbag, enduring Wu Lei's relentless fists. Come find me at the hotel once you're in a better mood. Jiangyang left Wu Lei to his revenge and hailed a taxi to Linjiang University's antique city. The black gold ancient blade had been found. Ding. Successfully plundered the battle companion of the Plains Child. Congratulations, host. Obtained an inferior chainmail vest. System space expanded to 15 square meters. The system's chime signified that Jiangyang had truly won over Wu Lei. As for the chainmail vest, Jiangyang extended his hand, and a silver glimmering soft armor appeared. This doesn't look inferior at all. Jiangyang unfurled the chainmail vest, a silver soft armor exquisitely crafted with no imperfections. And yet the system labeled it as merely inferior. Whatever the system produces must be top-notch. Speaking of which, does this count as an item? Jiangyang held the chainmail against his body, and the next moment the soft armor transformed into a streak of silver light, coalescing onto his skin and merging with it. The taxi driver ahead glimpsed this horrifying scene through the rearview mirror, but was quickly appeased by 2 stacks of 100-yuan bills handed from the back seat. Jiangyang had deliberately withdrawn this cash, fearing that the internet might fail as the apocalypse drew near. Besides, the experience of flinging around physical money was immensely satisfying. Swiping on WeChat all the time was dull. Arriving at the antique city near Linjiang University, Jiangyang tossed out another 2 stacks of 100-yuan bills. Driver, take the next couple of days off and treat yourself to a foot massage parlor. Sure thing, boss. Take care. Money truly makes the world go round. Jiangyang still had tens of millions in cash stored in his system space, though it would all become worthless paper in a few days. It would be too coarse even for wiping. Following Xiao Wan's information, Jiangyang arrived at a craft shop. Oh, boss Jiang, you're here. Before he even entered, a middle-aged man rushed out. Over the past couple of days, they had landed a huge job, buying every blade in the antique city, arranging them neatly, and waiting for Jiangyang to make his selection. Are all the blades inside? Jiangyang stepped into the shop where the shelves had been cleared and were now lined with countless knives. Good, take the money and leave. Sure thing. The shop owner grabbed a stack of red bills, not bothering to see where they came from, and scurried out with a beaming smile. After the shop owner left, Jiangyang's expression darkened as he wandered among the myriad blades for a long. There were about 500 knives here, all purchased from the antique city. Most were bizarrely shaped, exuding a sense of antiquity, but they were all imitations. thus finding that black gold ancient blade would not be easy. System, are all these blades mine now? If the ancient blade is among them, does that mean I've robbed the child of fate of his opportunity? Ding. Robbed the weapon of the child of fate. Obtained weapon skill crescent moon slash. Oh wow, he actually got a skill. Zhang Yang was pleasantly surprised. In the apocalypse, aside from class-specific skills, some weapons also had skills, but they were extremely rare. A silver card flashed and vanished into Zhang Yang's body. He now had the skill, but since he hadn't yet become a professional and had no weapon, the skill was temporarily unusable. However, he was certain that the black gold ancient blade was among those 500 knives. Zhang Yang picked up a blade and walked to the shredder in the shop. The black gold ancient blade was indestructible, it could not be destroyed. All he had to do was toss them all in. But shredding 500 knives was quite exhausting. Zhang Yang called over Tanya, who had completed the first. Throw all these knives into the shredder. This is the second step to becoming a regular. Brother Zhang, these knives. Hurry up. Tanya began the labor, and soon her clothes were soaked through. Her fitted dress clung to her with sweat, and the woman couldn't help but flaunt her figure at Zhang Yang as she moved the items. Zhang Yang pretended not to see. This was real work-study labor, not lounging around or kneeling all. But Tanya's physical strength was too slow. Zhang Yang hired some migrant workers with his cash, and soon, fortune favors the diligent. Zhang Yang finally found the black gold ancient blade. The shredder had been chipped by the blade, yet the ancient knife bore not a single scratch. As befitting the weapon of a child of fate, its hardness rivaled his own. Brother Zhang, what's next? Tanya wiped her sweat and pressed close to him. What's the rush? They'll consider your promotion. Go back and wait. Zhang Yang felt a bit disgusted by Tanya. He wasn't a desperate novice. He casually gave her 100,000 to dismiss her and returned to the hotel. Xiaowan was already waiting at the hotel. She approached gracefully like a noble, languid ragdoll cat. Master, you went through all this trouble just for that blade. Everything in the antique city is fake. If you like, Master, you could go to the antique street in Kyoto. I know, Sister Wan. Help me with a few more things. Zhang Yang sat on the sofa looking at his housekeeper. In the original story, she was utterly loyal to him, and when Yi Fan came to cause trouble, she took a blade for him and died. What else does young Master Zhang want to do? You've been acting like a different person these past 2 days, Xiaowan said, sitting beside him, crossing her legs with a cat-like languor. Why haven't you been playing with girls? Is your kidney failing, or are you bored? No, I'm waiting for you. Zhang Yang stroked Xiaowan's leg, a satisfied expression on his face. This housekeeper was a stunningly beautiful and mature woman, quite alluring. Take your paw off. What do you want to do? Xiaowan shot him a glare. Having grown up with him, she knew his life inside out. His recent behavior over the past couple of days was completely out of character. Could it be that he was really waiting for her? At that thought, Xiaowan silently moved a little farther away. Sister Wan, why are you sitting over there? I've been secretly working out, and am all muscle now. Feel it. Zhang Yang leaned in. The original owner had been under this housekeeper's thumb, but could he be intimidated? Little brat, you'd better behave. Xiaowan snapped as he pressed closer, his hands roaming all over her. Seeing Xiaowan about to lose her temper, Zhang Yang quickly stopped his mischief. After all, behind Xiaowan were his parents. She was supposedly a housekeeper, but in truth, she was a big sister sent to keep an eye on him. Indeed, Xiaowan's father had died taking a bullet for Zhang Yang's father, so to his parents, Xiaowan was Sister Wan, help me buy some things. The preparations against Yi Fan were almost complete. Next, he needed to stock up on supplies for the apocalypse. When the apocalypse struck, a large number of humans would turn into zombies, and all electronic devices would become useless. Food and water would be the most important resources, followed by weapons and ample armor. What are you buying all this for? Xiaowan asked, her pretty face full of confusion. What's gotten into you these past 2 days? You've been doing nothing but baffling things. Just listen to me, Sister Wan. Go do it, and it'll reward you when you get back. Zhang Yang lay on the sofa. Xiaowan was trustworthy, and he intended to keep her by his side when the apocalypse arrived. You're such a brat. Xiaowan pouted. To her, Zhang Yang had probably come up with some new mischief. But since he was a super-rich second generation, he had money to burn. Let him do as he pleased. After Xiaowan left, Zhang Yang took out the ancient blade and swung it around the room. Having injected the Captain America serum, his physical abilities had reached a terrifying level, about 5 times that of an ordinary person. This 5-fold increase wasn't simple arithmetic. After the apocalypse, physical enhancements would vary according to different classes. A level 1 professional's physical ability ranged from 3 times to 7 or 8 times that of an ordinary person. Having taken the Captain America serum, Zhang Yang would become invincible in the early stages once he also obtained Yi Fan's inherited class. Thinking of this, Zhang Yang grinned. In truth, he coveted Yi Fan's younger sister Yi Qingwei even more than his inherited class. Zhang Yang had been closely monitoring the progress of the surgery at the hospital. Even if Yi Qingwei didn't call him proactively, he would find a way to bring her over. Since the apocalypse was coming anyway when morality collapsed, if Yi Qingwei didn't comply, he would just take her by force. Act first and think later. As for what to do later, feelings grow over time. Yi Fan, you were right. I did come with ulterior motive. Your little green tea girl is working part-time for me, and he'll take good care of your sister, making her fair and delicate. Jiang Yang wore a sinister grin, but just then his phone rang. He answered the call, and a sweet, gentle voice came through. Hello, is this Brother Jiang? I am Yi Qingwei. I'm willing to join your company. If you have time, can we talk in person? At Linjiang Hospital, Yi Qingwei had just left the operating room when she called Jiang Yang. She suffered from a strange disease. Weak all over with no sensation at all in her fair slender legs, which seemed such a waste. The key point was that without treatment, death was only a matter of time. Worldwide cases of this disease could be counted on one hand. Her surgery this time was very successful. In short, her life was saved. Next, all that was left was to wait for the apocalypse. Given Yi Qingwei's current condition, it might not be impossible for her legs to regain sensation immediately. Qingwei, I found a summer job, 10,000 a month. I have to go move some things today, so I'll leave now. He'll come see you another day. Yi Fan walked over and looked at his sister. For a moment, he felt she seemed unfamiliar, as if they could never go back to how things used to be. Especially when he saw her calling Jiang Yang, he felt very displeased, even jealous, but he could do nothing. Go ahead, brother. Don't work too hard. Apologize to Sister Tangya. Yi Qingwei knew that Yi Fan was thinking of her, so she wanted even more to seize the opportunity Jiang Yang had given her, so that Yi Fan wouldn't have to keep worrying about her. That evening, Jiang Yang arranged to have dinner with Yi Qingwei at the city's most luxurious hotel, the Five Seasons Hotel. At that time, Yi Qingwei still needed a wheelchair. Jiang Yang patiently wheeled Yi Qingwei to her seat. The surroundings were resplendent with dazzling lights and bustling atmosphere. Yi Qingwei had never seen such a scene. Even when she could walk, dining out was a luxury. For a moment, overcome by inferiority and shyness, the girl lowered her head, curled up, and blushing handed Jiang Yang a piece of manuscript paper, murmuring softly, Bro. Brother Jiang, this is a new song I wrote recently. Please take a look. Jiang Yang patted her shoulder and smiled. Qingwei, relax. Just call me Brother Jiang, treat me like an elder brother. No need to be so formal. Yi Qingwei nodded. She didn't mind such physical contact, in fact it made her more relaxed. Although Yi Fan was good to her, he had never been as reliable as Jiang Yang. At least in terms of appearance, the difference was huge. Although Yi Qingwei didn't place much importance on looks, people are visual creatures, especially when a relationship heats up. Jiang Yang picked up the song Yi Qingwei had written and looked at it. All are brave. Love how you walk the dark paths alone. Love your resilient visage. Love that you face despair and refuse to shed a tear. Love your tattered armor, yet dare to block fate's gun. Love how you're so, like me, flaws the same. Wow, isn't this lone brave? Could it be that the lone brave in this world was written by this girl? Novels are indeed different from reality. Such details wouldn't be written out. However, this didn't seem to be the final version of Lone Brave. Heaven helps me. Not bad. Jiang Yang cupped his chin and nodded with feigned satisfaction. Qingwei truly is a talented girl. Not at all. Upon receiving Jiang Yang's praise, Yi Qingwei lowered her blushing little head again. Jiang Yang continued, but I have a few humble suggestions. Qingwei, see if this revision works. With that, Jiang Yang revised according to the final version of Lone Brave. Love how you walk the dark alley alone. Love your unchallenged stance. Love that you've confronted despair and refused to cry. Love your tattered clothes, yet dare to block fate's gun. Love how you're so, like me, gaps the same. When Yi Qingwei saw Jiang Yang's changes, her mouth slightly opened. First shock, then unprecedented joy. This song had always been unsatisfactory to her. She hadn't yet figured out where the problem lay. Now, with Brother Jiang's guidance, she suddenly saw the light. Indeed, Brother Jiang understands me. Brother Jiang, you're amazing. Aren't you a finance major? For a moment, Yi Qingwei stared at Jiang Yang, her eyes sparkling. To be honest, I love music. Actually, it's not just music. I like many things. But I have no choice. I have to inherit the family business. Saying this, Jiang Yang couldn't help sighing. Many people think I'm rich and can do whatever I want every day, but in reality my life is very busy and tedious. I have to manage the family business and attend various social engagements. You might not believe it, but sometimes I have to reluctantly date girls I don't like. Sigh. Your song really struck a chord with me. Since I was a child, I've been expected to do things unimaginable for my peers. While everyone was dating and playing games, I was forced by my father to sit in on all kinds of meetings. He called it osmosis. After hearing this, Yi Qingwei's eyes were full of concern and pity. So Brother Jiang has been through so much hardship and so many troubles. Maybe because of your status they gossip. At this, she lowered her head. She thought with inferiority. Could it be that she herself was one of those girls Brother Jiang said he didn't like? Brother Jiang only appreciated the music she created and didn't actually like a useless person like her. Jiang Yang was not an ordinary man. Soon he detected Yi Qingwei's inferiority complex. Jiang Yang seized the opportunity, immediately reaching out to gently lift her chin and lean toward her cherry-like lips. Many people have never really understood me. You say I understand you, but I actually hope you can understand me. Their posture was quite intimate. Yi Qingwei's face burned red. Jiang Yang seized the moment to brush his lips against hers, then immediately pulled back. Just a touch, very measured, expressing affection and appreciation without greed. Yi Qingwei's beautiful eyes trembled violently, her cheeks flushed with shame. Beyond shock and fluster, she revealed the shy expression of a maiden experiencing first love. Jiang Yang chuckled inwardly. This wasn't some kind of mind game, he just wanted to make a young girl more confident. Jiang Yang escorted Yi Qingwei back. The girl was reluctant to part, but his mind was already planning the next day's actions. Xiaowan had also procured the supplies he needed and temporarily renovated the hotel. A large amount of supplies, almost all of which could be stored long-term, along with many pieces of armor and weapons, though these were merely self-made crossbows and the like. Jiang Yang would have liked firearms, but they were unobtainable, and Xiaowan would never agree to get them for him. Gathering all this stuff, are you planning an apocalypse survival? Xiaowan was dressed very conservatively this time, which disappointed Jiang Yang. You could say that. With food, drink, and a beautiful woman, we can survive here for 10 months. Why 10 months? 9 months of pregnancy. Xiaowan's face flushed, and she shot Jiang Yang a glare. You're incorrigible. Believe me, I'll report you. Oh, still going at it. Jiang Yang pulled Xiaowan into his arms. How do you know you weren't arranged as my child bride by our parents? The original owner had been battle-hardened, but never gained any advantage over Xiaowan. After all, he had a constitution prone to sudden death. Couldn't beat her in a fight, couldn't reason with her, since she was practically an older sister. The only way was to make Xiaowan willingly surrender. What was unattainable always seemed better. If the chance arose, Jiang Yang wouldn't mind fulfilling the original owner's unrealized dreams. The next day, Jiang Yang arrived early at Linjiang Hospital. When Yi Qingwei saw him, her smile was as irrepressible as a fangirl's. Jiang Yang had already handled her discharge, claiming the company had provided Yi Qingwei with accommodation. In truth, it was his hotel. Anything else to pack? Jiang Yang pushed Yi Qingwei's wheelchair, a faint fragrance lingering around him. She had clearly dressed up. No, are we going straight to the company? Yi Qingwei smoothed her hair, her long lashes fluttering. She didn't know why, but facing Brother Jiang alone now made her even more nervous than their first meeting. She was afraid he might notice any flaw in her behavior. What's the rush? I heard Miss Yi also got into Linjiang University. How about we take a stroll there? Jiang Yang lifted Yi Qingwei into the car. According to her information, she had been admitted to Linjiang University, but had never attended due to her illness. But studying had always been a cherished dream for Yi Qingwei. At this moment, her fondness for Jiang Yang grew even more. Arriving at Linjiang University, Jiang Yang pushed Yi Qingwei around, chatting about everything under the sun. Soon his wit and charm eased her nervousness. Suddenly, a discordant voice rang out nearby. Who isn't this, our dear class monitor Yi? As the voice fell, a young man decked out in designer labels walked over, his gaze fixed on Yi Qingwei in her wheel. Yi Qingwei said nothing, her face turning pale, as if recalling some unpleasant memory. Seeing her expression, Jiang Yang felt a flicker of amusement. As the saying goes, when luck is good, even sleep brings a pillow. When luck is bad, even water gets stuck in your teeth. Do you know each other? Jiang Yang gently smoothed Yi Qingwei's hair while scrutinizing the young man. Spotting the hostility rising in the latter's eyes, Jiang Yang knew today's bonus was assured. I don't know him. Yi Qingwei turned and whispered nervously in Jiang Yang's ear, Brother Jiang, let's go. As you wish. Jiang Yang turned to push Yi Qingwei away. The young man immediately took offense, sneering, Class monitor Yi, we were classmates once. How about a little catch-up? As he spoke, he strode toward them. Young man. Yi Qingwei could never forget that scumbag. His name was Gu Tao, a minor second-generation rich kid with some influence. He had once pursued her, and one time made a move on her. Fortunately, Yi Fan had shown up. But the reason Yi Qingwei could never forget Gu Tao was that she had dragged Yi Fan into trouble. He was beaten so badly he spent a week in the hospital before he could even get out of bed. Remembering Yi Fan's miserable state, Yi Qingwei was determined not to let the same happen to Brother Jiang. Summoning her courage, she said to Jiang Yang, Brother Jiang, you go first. This man is no good. Don't worry, he wouldn't dare touch me. Oh, class monitor Yi is still so confident. I'm not the naive kid I used to be. For a catch-up, of course, we go to a hotel. Before Gu Tao could finish, Jiang Yang struck without warning. No, he kicked. What are you saying? Go to hell. If you've eaten shit, go home and rinse your mouth. With one kick, Jiang Yang sent Gu Tao flying several meters. Truth be told, it was a good thing the apocalypse was still some time away. Otherwise, Gu Tao would already be dead. Fuck. You're out of your mind. Gu Tao gritted his teeth in pain. In all his years, he had never met anyone who would just kick him without a word. At least throw a few insults first if you're unhappy. Not a single warning. He finally struggled to his feet. and said coldly, "Kid, you just wait." With that, he quickly limped away from the scene. Though furious, he knew he had hit a wall and could only flee. Yi Qingwei recalled Yifan's miserable experience back then. But now Brother Jiang handled this in an unprecedented sense of security rippled through her heart. At the same time, while she was shocked by Jiang Yang's martial prowess, she was even more filled with self-blame. "I'm sorry, Brother Jiang, I've dragged you into this." "What are you saying, silly girl? With me here, no one dares to lay a hand on you." Jiang Yang smiled slightly, inwardly grateful to Gu Tao for his timely help. "Brother Jiang, thank you. You're so good to me." Yi Qingwei saw his smile warmth flooding her heart, her eyes filled with admiration. 5 kilometers away from Linjiang University in a small company, Yi Fan handed over his rather sparse resume. On the offer says 10,000 a month, room and board included. Is that true? Yi Fan still couldn't believe it. The tiny company looked too shabby to offer such a high salary, and the job seemed extremely simple. Just reviewing materials and checking documents every day. To Yi Fan, this job felt like picking up free money. He had no idea that the money was deliberately laid out for him. That's right. If you perform well in these 2 months, there'll be extra bonuses. Really? Thank you. After getting the HR's confirmation, Yi Fan cheerfully headed to the company-provided dormitory, not forgetting to message Tanya to celebrate. But he got no reply. The dormitory was excellent, a single apartment all to himself. At this point, Yi Fan wondered if he had stepped in dog shit without noticing landing such a great job. If he had rented through a platform, this apartment would cost at least 7,000 a month. And his apartment on the 13th floor right in the middle would push the rent up another 2,000. Such a prime spot was being given to him as a company dorm. While Yi Fan was overjoyed, Jiang Yang's side was also wrapping things up. Inside the upscale restaurant, after a few glasses of red wine, Yi Qingwei was already unsteady on her feet. Jiang Yang seized the opportunity to hold her and brought her back to his hotel. At the hotel, Wu Lei was tidying up the room. Xiaowan showed no surprise upon seeing Jiang Yang return with a young woman. This was typical of the young Master Jiang. "Brother Jiang. Where's this?" Yi Qingwei was merely drunk, not unconscious. Seeing the unfamiliar surroundings, she sobered up slightly, yet still felt weak all over. The effects of alcohol would not fade so quickly. Besides, even if she were fully awake, it would be useless. Her legs were already powerless. "This is my room," Jiang Yang said softly, placing Yi Qingwei on his bed, a flicker of guilt in his eyes. If possible, he would have preferred to slowly build affection with Yi Qingwei. But he was a villain. Why do villains always fail in TV dramas? Because villains are inefficient and talk too much, leading to their downfall. Jiang Yang would not make that mistake. A man who is ruthless and sparing in words can survive in the apocalypse. "Forgive me, Yi Qingwei. I will make it up to you later." One night could change many things. The faint cry of first tearing gradually echoed rhythmically through the hotel room. Meanwhile, Wu Lei was in the hotel gym honing his muscles. The improved diet and conditions had made his physique even more robust. Xiaowan, on the other hand, was in the hotel processing recent orders. Whatever they did in the hotel was fine, but Jiang Yang had ordered them to stay inside and not go out. In the vast Linjiang city, everyone continued repeating their life routines, utterly unaware that disaster was about to strike. On the other side, in a luxury apartment 5 kilometers away, Yi Fan was excitedly taking photos of his apartment. "Babe, have you seen my dorm? This dorm would cost 8 or 9,000 a month if rented. How about you move in with me in a couple of days?" "Are you asleep?" After his rebirth, Yi Fan naturally became the arrogant and decisive protagonist. But before his rebirth, his bootlicking skills had reached perfection. It was precisely this sycophancy that won Tanya over. Perhaps in his eyes this was a display of true feelings. In reality, sincerity, without material foundation, is called bootlicking. At that moment, in a small single apartment, Tanya was tossing and turning, unable to sleep. Staring at the endless stream of messages from Yi Fan on her phone, she thought, if only this were Jiang Yang. It was so late, yet Tanya hadn't removed her makeup, waiting for a message from Jiang Yang. Perhaps tonight Jiang Yang would recall her worth. She had to be in her best state to serve Jiang Yang. Maybe irritated by Yi Fan's constant messages, Tanya picked up the phone and glanced at them. A 9,000 a month apartment. The hotel Jiang Yang stayed in cost tens of thousands per night, and the hotel itself was one of his assets. She thought such a poor loser hell be pathetic forever, but she dared not say it out loud. Before she secured a better deal, Yi Fan still had some use. And besides, she thoroughly enjoyed being worshipped. "I'm going to sleep. We'll talk about moving in a couple of days." Back at the apartment, Yi Fan felt a pang of frustration at Tang Ya's lukewarm response. After dating for so long, he had spent a lot of time and money on Tanya, even given her his bank card password, but he had never even kissed her. At that moment, Yi Fan recalled the handbag Tanya had bought earlier. She had spent 40,000 yuan on it. It was time for him to become a real man. Yi Fan set a grand goal in his heart and fell asleep dreaming. The next morning at 5 o'clock, Yi Fan, lying in bed, abruptly sat up. A cold glint flashed in his eyes like a long prowling beast, his entire body exuding murderous aura. But this killing intent vanished after only a few minutes. Yifan looked around. The air carried no scent of blood, and there were no bloodstains on the ground. In the apocalypse, there was no such pleasant place. Where is this? Yifan spotted the phone on the bed, and a familiar surge of memories flooded him. About 3 minutes later, a cry of astonishment erupted from the 13th floor of the luxury apartment. Rebirth. Yifan roared in excitement. After 7 years in the apocalypse, he had actually been reborn. What did this mean? He possessed memories of the next 7 years, knew everything that would happen, could seize every opportunity, and become one of the first powerhouses in the apocalypse. 5:07, there's still time. Yifan's gaze sharpened. On July 7th, 2023, at 6 o'clock sharp, the world would undergo a cataclysm. 70% of humanity would turn into zombies, and a vast number of plants and animals on Earth would mutate. Countless alien creatures would also descend upon the planet. Survivors would name this day Judgment Day. Humanity fell from the top of the food chain, their technological achievements, shattered by the apocalypse, reduced to the bottom of the food chain. The dead became zombies, those who didn't die lived like walking corpses, struggling daily for survival. Yet some thrived in the apocalypse, becoming undisputed overlords with beautiful starlets singing and dancing for them, feasting on premium steak, and drinking vintage Lafite. These were the ones who seized the opportunities, the first movers after the apocalypse. Now that he was reborn, he would be the first to taste the sweetest fruit. Yifan's ambition soared as he recalled the best resources at the start of the apocalypse. But then he noticed a problem. Wasn't I in my dorm when the apocalypse began? Where is this? As a reincarnator, Yifan had 2 sets of memories before the apocalypse. Now discrepancies appeared between them. The contradictions even caused temporal illusions, plunging him into deep self-doubt. Could I be delusional? No, that's not it. Yifan felt that both seemed real. The rebirth was real, and what he was experiencing now was also real. After a moment, he steadied his mind. The survival experience from his past life had elevated his mental fortitude to an unprecedented level. Could it be the butterfly effect? Yifan blamed the incident on the butterfly effect. After all, he had been reborn. It was only natural that some things would be off right. Forget it. First find the opportunities. After that, I'll kill that bitch Tanya. Yifan disregarded the conflict between the 2 memory strands. Finding the opportunity was paramount. His priority was to head to Linjiang University, where an inheritance class would appear, the core of his rise. Exiting his room, Yifan pressed the elevator button repeatedly, only to find it under maintenance. And he was on the 13th floor. Damn it. Cursing, Yifan began descending the stairs. But even going down was exhausting for his current physique. By the time he reached the ground floor, he was panting heavily. Once outside, Yifan checked his location. He was 5 kilometers away from Linjiang University. Son of a bitch. Swearing under his breath, Yifan took out his phone to call a ride, but discovered he couldn't use the app. Identity information error. Damn it. Yifan cursed again, walked to the roadside to scan a shared bike, but got the same prompt as before. Identity information error. Please bring your ID to the relevant department and submit the following materials. Submit your mother. Yifan was about to explode with rage. He had finally been reborn, and fate was still playing tricks on him. Couldn't take a taxi, couldn't find a bike to scan. Yifan had no choice but to run to school on foot. It was only 5 kilometers, but for Yifan, who had survived 7 years in the apocalypse, it still left him utterly exhausted. After all, he no longer possessed the physical conditioning from 7 years into the apocalypse. The place he needed to go was not just the school. The inheritance profession would only appear after the apocalypse struck, so going there now would be futile. The place he needed to go was the antique city next to Linjiang University. There lay a peerless weapon that would accompany him for life. Beep, your phone has been disconnected. Damn it. Yifan fiercely threw his phone onto the ground. He had just been about to call his roommate when the phone disconnected, and even the internet was cut off. Wasn't this starting hand too difficult? By the way, where is Qingwei? Yifan was suddenly stunned as 2 sets of memories collided incessantly, one from before his rebirth and one from after. Jiang Yang. Yifan's eyes turned red. In his past life, Jiang Yang had slept with his girlfriend and had several times put him in life-threatening situations. And in this life's memories, Jiang Yang had actually come into contact with Qingwei. Yifan's expression began to twist. Once he obtained his black gold ancient blade, the first thing he would do was to slaughter Jiang Yang and that bitch Tanya. You scoundrel! You scoundrel! Yi Qingwei's eyes reddened, both ashamed and angry, as she was held tightly in Jiang Yang's arms. Brother Jiang, why are you doing this to me? I trusted you so much. Tears uncontrollably trickled from the corners of Yi Qingwei's eyes. She had only been drunk, but she knew exactly what had happened. She could distinctly feel everything Jiang Yang had done to her last night, that tearing pain deeply engraved in Yi Qingwei's heart. Even after such an incident, she still called him Brother Jiang. It seemed this silly girl had already fallen for him. Jiang Yang laughed triumphantly in his heart, but on the surface he appeared deeply regretful, guilty, and self-reproachful. I'm sorry. You are too special. This is the first time I've met a woman like you, and I couldn't control myself. Saying this, Jiang Yang fiercely slapped himself. With a loud smack. The slap was deafening. However, Jiang Yang had used only a tenth of his strength. With the physique of Captain America, withstanding a tenth of his own strength was practically painless. But Yi Qingwei did not know that her heart tightened. Seeing Jiang Yang like this, she felt even more distressed. Brother Jiang. Don't be like this. I didn't mean that. I mean, we can't just do this so soon after meeting. As Yi Qingwei spoke, her face flushed crimson, and she lowered her bewildered, pretty face, whispering that. What do you mean when you said this is the first time you've met a woman like me? Jiang Yang seized the moment to stroke Yi Qingwei's hair and sighed. I feel you. Are very close with an inexplicable familiarity, as if we were destined other halves. Whether it's the songs you compose, or every smile and frown, it feels like a resonance with me. I'm sorry, when it comes down to it, it's all my fault. Yi Qingwei's heart suddenly raced, as she had heard many confessions during middle and high school. Most were just self-absorbed nonsense. But what Brother Jiang said was remarkably similar to what she had been thinking. To be honest, she had always harbored feelings like this towards Jiang Yang from the very beginning. Even though Jiang Yang had done such a thing to her. Brother Jiang. I don't blame you. Could you give me some time to calm down? Yi Qingwei said this very calmly. After all, she was still a smart person, as she knew that her current state might be a bit love-struck, and she needed to calm down and think about how to handle her relationship with Jiang Yang. At this moment, Jiang Yang held Yi Qingwei, feeling the softness in his arms, and a desire gradually rose within him. He was also a normal person, especially after injecting the Captain America serum. A certain part of his body had become more sensitive. If this continued, he feared he would lose control again. If he did it once more now, everything would be ruined, and he would definitely be unable to boost the favorability score any further. So he nodded and walked towards the bathroom. Linjiang University, Antique City. Yi Fan was drenched in sweat. The 5-kilometer journey had nearly cost him his life. This body is too weak. Yi Fan shook his head, complaining about his own physique. On the way here, just now, he had already sorted out his 2 sets of memories. There were some differences between them, but it didn't matter as long as he could obtain the opportunity that belonged to him. At this moment, Yi Fan strolled through the antique city according to his memories. In the memories of 7 years in the apocalypse, this black gold ancient blade was extremely famous. In later generations, the Blade Master, known as the first blade under heaven, became an absolute powerhouse of the apocalypse by relying on this black gold ancient blade. And according to reliable information, that person had fled here after the apocalypse began and found this black gold ancient blade at a street stall. Now this blade belongs to me. Yi Fan had seen the appearance of the black gold ancient blade. At this moment, he quickly paced back and forth in the antique city, but the more he walked, the more irritated he became. Why couldn't he find it? Could it have been taken by that Blade Master? Was the information wrong? Yi Fan glanced at the time. There were still 20 minutes until 6 o'clock. If he couldn't find it within these 20 minutes, he would have to give up on this blade and first find a place to lie low. Young man, what are you looking for? You've been wandering around here for several laps. You're from Linjiang University, aren't you? Doesn't your school have a playground? You've even brought your morning run to the antique city. A middle-aged man was wiping a piece of porcelain, teasing Yi Fan. A blade. Yi Fan was panting heavily. Not only could he not find the black gold ancient blade, but he also realized that this antique city had no blades at all. Not a single one. Don't bother looking, young man. All the blades in our antique city were sold to a big client 2 days ago. The middle-aged man chuckled, and it turned out he was the owner of the craft shop who had received Jiang Yang that day. That was a big client. As long as it was related to blades, everything was bought up. All bought up. Yi Fan was dumbfounded. Who the hell had that kind of sickness? It's fine, there's still the inheritance profession. Yi Fan consoled himself in his heart, then turned and ran towards Linjiang University. If it weren't for the deeply ingrained experiences of 7 years in the apocalypse, Yi Fan would have doubted his rebirth. The antique city was right next to Linjiang University. Yi Fan reached it after walking just a few steps. However, upon arriving, he found that he couldn't get in. No student ID. Helplessly, Yi Fan turned his gaze towards the small inn next to Linjiang University. The most urgent task was to find a place to hide. The moment the apocalypse arrived, a large number of people would turn into zombies along with many monsters. At that time, a place like the school would actually be the most dangerous. Thinking this, Yi Fan ran towards the inn. Sorry, sir, your identification information is incorrect. The front desk girl looked helpless and returned Yi Fan's ID card. Can I check in without an ID? I'm willing to pay extra. Yi Fan looked at the time. The apocalypse was about to arrive, and he could no longer afford to wait. Such small inns around schools allow check-in without an ID, but it requires extra money. 300. Yi Fan fumbled in his pockets, looking embarrassed. He had no money. He had smashed his phone, and even if he hadn't the balance and it wouldn't be enough for 300 yuan. Damn it. Qingwei, I know you don't believe me, but wait a few minutes and you'll understand that I actually have another reason for doing this. I won't harm you. Jiang Yang walked out of the bathroom, carrying Yi Qingwei. At this moment, Yi Qingwei's eyes were evasive, her pretty face flushed crimson, not daring to look directly at Jiang Yang's perfectly sculpted body like a Greek statue. Brother Jiang, actually you don't have to do this. If you want you can just tell me directly. Yi Qingwei said softly and sweetly. After all, without Jiang Yang she might have died on the hospital bed because she couldn't afford the surgery. Her illness, the longer it dragged on the closer it brought her to death. Jiang Yang had paid for her surgery, it was a life-saving grace. Her very life was given by brother Jiang, so what was there to hesitate about? Yi Qingwei used this reasoning to convince herself. To be honest, a life-saving favor is beyond repayment. If possible, Yi Qingwei would willingly offer herself to him. However, the way Jiang Yang took her first time in this manner still left a somewhat significant knot in her heart. It could be said that if this knot remained, Yi Qingwei's trust in Jiang Yang would be even less than when they first. As the saying goes, if I cannot trust you, how can I love you? Qingwei, believe me, in just a few minutes this world will undergo earth-shattering changes. Jiang Yang walked to the window. At 5:55 in the morning, a red glow appeared in the sky. Bringing you to the hotel was premeditated. Last night's events. If I said it was an accident, would you believe me? Jiang Yang gave a helpless, bitter smile. Actually, I wanted to protect you before the crisis came. He kept sophistically arguing. Once the apocalypse descended, his sophistry would be flawless. Meanwhile, he communicated with the system in his mind. System, I've already taken Yi Qingwei. Why is there no? Yi Qingwei is a heroine-level character. Obtaining only her body cannot yield rewards. Huh, does that mean? I haven't fully captured her heart yet. As expected of the sister of the world's chosen one. At this moment outside the window, the red glow on the horizon grew denser, and the entire sky seemed stained with blood. Yi Qingwei, still wrapped in the blanket on the bed, poked her head out to look out the window, stunned. So beautiful. The last afterglow of human civilization. Of course, it's beautiful. Jiang Yang lifted Yi Qingwei in a princess carry and brought her to the window. She offered no resistance. More and more signs proved that Jiang Yang wasn't simply lusting after her body. Meanwhile, terrifying chaos had already broken out on the streets below the hotel. Countless beams of red light entered the clouds and blood-red raindrops began to fall. Then a visible shockwave spread across the horizon. The entire earth, except for the part illuminated by the sun, plunged into pitch-black darkness on the other half. All human technological means were destroyed. At this moment, the original food chain of the earth began to change, and all order was reset. The reshuffling had begun. Judgment Day had arrived. Inside a small inn next to Linjiang University, Yi Fan had just knocked out the front desk girl when, at that moment, the front desk girl mutated. Purple veins appeared all over her body, blood began to seep from her skin, and the originally sweet-looking front desk girl became hideous and ferocious. She was still wearing her professional suit. The black stockings no longer held any allure. Mixed with the slightly darkened blood, they instead evoked disgust and nausea. Damn it. Yi Fan grabbed a stool, his face stern as he stared at the front desk girl. His first battle since rebirth had begun. 7 years in the apocalypse had etched various zombie-killing techniques deep into Yi Fan's memory, almost becoming instinct. The front desk girl lunged at Yi Fan, but he simply sidestepped, dodging her claws, then directly raised the stool and delivered a headshot to the back of her skull. The first battle ended. Yi Fan was slightly out of breath, but he had won with ease. The apocalypse has begun. My era has arrived. Yi Fan felt every cell in his body trembling with excitement. Although he was still an ordinary person now, he carried the memories of 7 years in the apocalypse. He only needed to wait for the initial chaos of the apocalypse to pass, then he could sneak into Linjiang University to seek his fortune. Brother Jiang, what is happening? Yi Qingwei grabbed Jiang Yang's arm, watching the bloody and brutal scenes outside, almost vomiting. The apocalypse has arrived. Jiang Yang pinched Yi Qingwei's chin. This is why I brought you here. Brother Jiang. It's me. I wronged you. Yi Qingwei, clever as she was, finally understood Jiang Yang's good intentions and felt very remorseful. She clung tightly to Jiang Yang. After witnessing the scene just now, all logic was on Jiang Yang's side. Jiang Yang hadn't lied to her. He had indeed brought her here to protect her, and she had just thought he only wanted to toy with her body. After getting tired of her, he would abandon her. Wasn't that the usual trope in novels? Thinking of this, Yi Qingwei felt that everything was because she hadn't trusted brother Jiang enough, and that was wrong. Meanwhile, the system's voice sounded in Jiang Yang's mind. Successfully plundered the sister of the world's chosen one. Congratulations, host. You have acquired Plunderer's Spirit and Plunderer's Insight. Plunderer's Spirit allows the host to seize a portion of the chosen one's fortune through continuous plundering, and there is a chance to devour the chosen one to empower oneself. As for Plunderer's Insight, it is a passive skill that allows viewing information. Both are godly skills. The corners of Jiang Yang's mouth lifted slightly. Just then the system spoke again. The apocalypse has descended. The attribute panel is now open. Name Jiang Yang. Constitution 50 normal adult 10. Spirit 55 normal adult 10. Agility 45 normal adult 10. Class none. Level 0. Superpower none. Skills Crescent Moon / Plunderer's Spirit. Looking at his own attribute panel, Jiang Yang mentally exclaimed 666. All his stats were about 5 times that of a normal person, an effect of the Captain America serum. Constitution not only represents physical fitness, but also the comprehensive manifestation of strength, agility, and other qualities. Spirit encompasses willpower, thinking, and casting ability. As for agility, it is more about the reaction and coordination of the body and brain. Its improvement to overall speed is actually less than that of Constitution. In addition to these, the attribute panel also displayed class and superpower. Currently, Jiang Yang had neither a class nor a superpower, but it wouldn't be long before he would. When the apocalypse descended, some people would gain superpowers and awaken various abilities. After the apocalypse, some people who suffered great stimulation or consumed some heavenly treasures would also have the chance to awaken superpowers. However, the awakening of superpowers was uncontrollable. Some would awaken abilities to strengthen themselves, some could directly transform into werewolves, and others could manipulate countless elements in battle. Whatever the superpower, they all shared one characteristic. They were exceptionally powerful. Thus, superpower users were synonymous with the strong in the apocalypse. Like classes, superpower users were also divided into 9 levels, but to advance they needed to use their powers frequently and also required some stimulation. The most important point was that superpower users could also become professionals. Superpowers and classes did not conflict. Bang bang bang. Wu Lei and Xiao Wan frantically knocked on Jiang Yang's door. Young master, are you all right? Xiao Wan's face was pale. At that moment, Wu Lei strode over, and with a loud bang, the hotel's security door was kicked open by Wu Lei. Xiao Wan rushed in immediately, then left. Is the boss in trouble? Hearing the scream, Wu Lei was about to charge in, but then heard Jiang Yang's voice. I'm fine. Wu Lei, get out. Yes, boss. The room's door faced the bathroom, not the interior, so Wu Lei didn't see what was inside, nor did he want to know. As long as Jiang Yang was fine. Inside the room, Yi Qingwei was wrapped in the blanket held by Jiang Yang. Jiang Yang stood naked by the window, his terrifying length blinding Xiao Wan's lively eyes. Jiang Yang, put your clothes on. Xiao Wan trembled with rage. Through the window, she had seen the cataclysmic changes outside, and had rushed over immediately to ensure Jiang Yang's safety. Yet she saw Jiang Yang standing by the window holding a girl. With all this happening, you still have the mood for this. Sister Wan, why are you covering your eyes? You've seen it before when we were kids. Jiang Yang curled his lips. If it weren't for Yi Qingwei being here, he wouldn't mind having his way with Xiao Wan right now. Xiao Wan was speechless. How can childhood and now be the same? Put on your clothes first. Xiao Wan stood up and walked out, her face flushed crimson. Meanwhile, Jiang Yang quickly threw on his clothes, and then checked on Yi Qingwei's condition. Sure enough, a line of text appeared before Jiang Yang's eyes. Name Yi Qingwei. Constitution 6. Spirit 7. Agility 5. Class none. Level 0. Ability Healing Heart. Skills none. Loyalty 85 will leave if below 60, a maximum 100. So this is the Predator's Insight. Jiang Yang's gaze fixed on Yi Qingwei's ability Healing Heart, exactly the same as in the original story. In the original novel, Yi Qingwei's awakened ability was Healing Heart. It is a super healing ability because of which Yi Qingwei has extremely fast self-healing and can also heal others. The healing effect is 10 times stronger than the skills of a healing class professional. In the original story, it was because of Yi Qingwei that Yi Fan escaped death many times. But this girl's awakening didn't even make a sound. If not for the Predator's Insight, he wouldn't have noticed at all. Brother Zhang, why are you staring at me? Yi Qingwei's face was bright red, caught by Xiao Wan, and now Jiang Yang was still staring at her intently. She hadn't even put on her clothes yet. Such a beautiful little wife, how could I not take a few more looks? Hey, don't talk nonsense. Yi Qingwei was so shy she nearly jumped up, but the next moment she was firmly held by Jiang Yang's large hands. While helping Yi Qingwei dress, Jiang Yang suddenly thought of a question. The Healing Heart's self-healing speed was extremely fast. Could Yi Qingwei have become an untouched pure maiden again? A series of wicked thoughts arose in Jiang Yang's mind. It doesn't hurt anymore. Jiang Yang's fantasies were interrupted by Yi Qingwei's delighted voice. The young lady who had been thoroughly developed by him yesterday now had all negative effects cleared. It was truly miraculous. Not only that, but the scars she had from falling when her legs gave out due to sudden illness in the past, when she could still walk, were all gone too. Now Yi Qingwei's body was as white and flawless as mutton fat jade, making Jiang Yang silently marvel at the power of the Healing Heart. According to our information, some people awaken abilities when the apocalypse arrives. Qingwei, try to see if you can. As soon as Jiang Yang finished speaking, Yi Qingwei's breathing became rapid. Stand up. This was the luxury she had always dreamed of. According to the novel's description, Yi Qingwei couldn't stand up right away, although her ability had awakened. Recovering from her illness took time. But now, because Yi Qingwei had received the surgery in time, she should be able to recover instantly after awakening her ability. Sure enough, Yi Qingwei swallowed her saliva and carefully placed her 2 jade-like feet on the ground. She could feel it. At this moment, joy filled her heart. The next moment, with Jiang Yang's support, she stood up completely, and ecstasy instantly flooded her mind. I'm standing. Overjoyed, Yi Qingwei couldn't contain her emotions and suddenly leaped onto Jiang Yang, planting a kiss on him. Brother Jiang, my legs are healed. I'm normal again. To be honest, seeing the young lady so happy, Jiang Yang was also happy for her. But he was a normal man, and some contact inevitably caused a reaction. The young lady seemed to notice something, her pretty face instantly turning as red as a ripe apple, and she shyly jumped away. Ahem. Jiang Yang knew now was not the time for that. He said seriously, Qingwei, you being able to stand means you've probably awakened a self-healing ability or something similar. With that, Jiang Yang bit his finger and held it out before Yi Qingwei. If you can heal yourself, you should be able to heal others too. Try to make my wound heal. Jiang Yang had read the original novel and knew Yi Qingwei's abilities. But at this moment, he couldn't reveal that he could only pretend not to know and guide her to use her power. And Yi Qingwei, whose mind was full of trust and dependence on Jiang Yang, immediately did as he said. She stared at his finger and silently meditated on healing. After a moment, a green light gathered in Yi Qingwei's hand. Then she placed her hand over Jiang Yang's finger before it even touched, just by being shown upon the wound healed. What a powerful ability! Jiang Yang was astonished and began to purposefully guide Yi Qingwei in using her power. Meanwhile, outside the room, Wu Lei looked through the window at the carnage below. Everywhere were severed limbs and broken arms. The dead had risen, dragging their broken arms and mutilated bodies, searching for signs of the living. These are zombies. Xiaowan walked over. There were many movies and shows about zombies, but she never thought she would actually see such things one day. At this moment, she remembered the things Jiang Yang had asked her to prepare. Had the young master been preparing for the worst? Inside a single apartment, Tang Yi curled up in a corner, her face pale. She had gotten up early to dress up and put on makeup, planning to go see Jiang Yang. But before she could leave the apocalypse, realizing the danger, Tang Yi closed the doors and windows, planning to wait for rescue. However, the screams coming from the hallway scared her out of her wits. A sound of chewing came from outside the room door. Something was at her door. Are those zombies? Tang Yi was terrified, about to break down, when a screeching sound rang out. Something was scratching at her door. Tang Yi instinctively screamed, but the next moment, she forcibly covered her mouth, not letting out a single sound. Making noise would likely attract the monster's attention. What to do? Trembling all over, Tang Yi looked at the kitchen knives, a hint of madness flashing in her eyes. She wanted to live. 2 kilometers away from Tang Yi, Yi Fan sat in a hotel room, gasping for breath, holding a fire axe. He'll stay at this inn for the night. It should be quiet by tomorrow, and then he'll go to Linjiang University. A hint of malice flashed in Yi Fan's eyes. He took out paper and pen and began to list the differences between the 2 memories after his rebirth. The butterfly effect could not stop him from taking revenge. Those who deserve death would still die. First kill Jiang Yang, second kill Tang Yi. Inside the luxury hotel, Jiang Yang and the other 3 sat down to eat together. Young master, can you tell us how you knew about the apocalypse? Xiaowan stared intently at Jiang Yang. Just now, Jiang Yang had shared some information about the apocalypse with them. Wu Lei showed no reaction. He would do whatever Jiang Yang told him. Yi Qingwei was still immersed in the excitement of recovering her health, and only Xiaowan kept watching Jiang Yang. Name Xiaowan. Constitution 9. Spirit 7. Agility 9. Class none. Level 0. Ability none. Skills none. Loyalty 99. Jiang Yang looked at Xiaowan's info. Her loyalty was the highest among the 3. Yi Qingwei had 85, Wu Lei had 82, and Xiaowan actually reached 99. A few years ago, I set up a foundation to collect occult information. It was just a hobby at first, but I didn't expect to collect intelligence about the apocalypse, and even less did I expect that it would actually be the end of the world today. Jiang Yang sighed, planning his next move in his mind. Yi Fan should have awakened his past life memories by now, and the obstacles he had set for him would only hold him back temporarily. If nothing unexpected happened, the other party should have arrived near Linjiang University. Having read the original novel, Jiang Yang naturally knew where Yi Fan's opportunity was, at Linjiang University. That opportunity wouldn't be taken by anyone for a while. Now Jiang Yang needed to plan another matter. In the original novel, Yi Fan had once pursued a powerful... She was also from Linjiang University, the ace of the Kendo Club Linjiang's campus, Belle Chiu Chan. This campus belle was no ordinary person. Later generations would call her the female sword saint. She was a lone wanderer in the apocalypse, belonging to the strongest tier in this new world. Even Yi Fan from the original novel was no match for her. In principle, this campus belle should be considered Yi Fan's master. However, that was an opportunity a few years into the apocalypse. But Jiang Yang didn't care about that. Such a powerful figure. If she didn't join his harem team, it would be a great pity. A plan took shape in Jiang Yang's mind. And at that moment, outside the luxury hotel, something resembling a lizard was crawling up along the wall. Mystic arts. Xiaowan tilted her head. She knew Jiang Yang's character well. When he said he was just dabbling, he meant it. Having served as his butler for years, she understood that Jiang Yang never engaged in anything serious. This was sheer luck, like a blind cat catching a dead mouse. Not bad, you actually did something right. Have you informed her? Xiaowan frowned. Jiang Yang's parents were like her own, and she was deeply worried about their situation. Jiang Yang waved his hand. I already told them. The old couple didn't believe me, thought I was up to some mischief again. Before he could finish, a piercing scream interrupted him. It came from a resident downstairs. This upscale hotel housed many people. Jiang Yang had only rented out their floors. Monster. Where did the lizard come from? This isn't a lizard. What is it? A series of screams, and the sound of shattering glass rose from below. Xiaowan, Wu Lei, and the others grabbed crossbows and dashed to the windows. When they saw what was down there, Wu Lei remained calm, but Xiaowan's delicate frame trembled. Yi Qingwei's hair. Holy crap. If third brother saw this thing, he'd go ballistic. As everyone knew, third brother freaked out at the mere sight of a lizard. Imagine his reaction to a giant one like this. Despite his joking demeanor, Jiang Yang acted with great caution. He peered down from the window and saw a massive lizard nearly 6 meters long crawling up the wall, a human dangling from its jaws. You still have time for jokes. Xiaowan frowned. How could humans possibly defeat such a monster? The giant lizard below was covered in festering blisters, its body a mass of rotting flesh that reeked of decay. In some places, bones were exposed, and even more horrifying were the parasitic creatures writhing among them. At that moment, the creature began chewing on the screaming victim it held in its mouth. Then it looked up at them with eyes that regarded them as prey. Species lizard. Name foul giant lizard. Level 1. Description: a weak monster from the foul lands bred in highly corrosive swamps. The blisters on its body can spray highly corrosive fluid. Even though it was only level 1, ordinary humans could not confront it heat-in. However, if one could sever the foul giant lizard's head, certain benefits might be gained. The plunderer's insight provided ample information. A monster from the foul lands. This creature was clearly not from Earth. A smile crept onto Jiang Yang's lips. In the original story, these mysterious monsters were veritable treasures. For example, the teeth of the foul giant lizard could be crafted into weapons. The internal organs of some monsters, when consumed, could enhance one's physical attributes. At the very least, these materials could be sold at the Apocalypse store for the unified currency of the post-apocalyptic world, Apocalypse coins. The Apocalypse coin was a currency introduced after the apocalypse, a coin-like object with different denominations. The old monetary system had collapsed, and the Apocalypse store's coinage became the new medium of exchange. Professionals could trade their finds for Apocalypse coins at the store, which could then be used to purchase other goods, such as scrolls and insignias for professional advancement. Some zombies and monsters harbored unique items within them. As the plunderer's insight indicated, beheading the foul giant lizard would yield certain rewards. This monster is highly corrosive. You 3 shoot crossbows at its eyes from above. Jiang Yang drew his black gold ancient blade. The Captain America serum had elevated his physical condition to the equivalent of a level 1 professional. Dealing with this foul giant lizard should be no challenge. Jiang Yang, what are you doing? Boss. Before Xiaowan and the others could fire their crossbows, Jiang Yang leaped down. Support me from above. Black gold ancient blade in hand, his physical prowess, 5 times that of an ordinary human, allowed him to scale walls with ease. But as he drew near the foul giant lizard, he felt a palpable sense of oppression. He lacked the 7 years of post-apocalyptic experience that Yi Fan had, and facing such a colossal creature made him wary. Yet as a transmigrator, one who was fated to clash with the protagonist, if he lacked even this much courage, how could he hope to succeed? A fierce glint flashed in Jiang Yang's eyes as he leaped onto the foul giant lizard's back. In an instant, several blisters burst under his feet, splashing a crimson fluid onto his body. He felt an intense burning pain. But the pain subsided into a mild sting, and the skin where the liquid touched showed no abnormality. The black gold ancient blade was at work. After opening his attribute panel, Jiang Yang could see the blade's properties. This weapon had a special trait called Dance of Death. It delayed incoming damage for a duration dependent on the user's strength. If the user killed the enemy, all delayed damage would be healed. At present, Jiang Yang's delay period was 10 minutes, more than enough to take down this lizard. He brought the blade down on the creature's claw, enraging the giant beast. The lizard twisted its hideous head and lunged toward him. At that moment, 3 bolts sank into its cheek. Xiao Wan and the others had fired. The 2 women and 1 man stood at different windows attacking the foul giant lizard. However, the crossbow bolts only annoyed the creature. They inflicted little real damage as the projectiles that struck it were quickly corroded away. Their assault drew the giant lizard's attention, giving Jiang Yang the opening he needed. He drove the black gold ancient blade deep into its neck. The black gold ancient blade was nothing like those arrows. In the original story, Yi Fan used this blade until the very end without any sign of wear. Its hardness was among the best in the apocalypse. As the blade sank into the lizard's neck, torrents of corrosive liquid sprayed out, all neutralized by the Dance of Death trait. Gripping the hilt, Jiang Yang twisted violently. The foul giant lizard in agony fell from the wall. Jiang Yang fell with it, but just before impact, a chainmail coat materialized on his skin. It was the armor the system had awarded earlier. Black gold ancient blade plus chainmail, Captain America serum plus plunderer's insight, and a powerful healer upstairs. If he couldn't kill this lizard with all that, it would be a disgrace. Upstairs, the 3 let out a collective cry as Jiang Yang and the monster crashed to the ground. Yi Qingwei gathered a sphere of green light in her hand and hurled it downward. Brother Jiang, catch. The green light descended onto Jiang Yang, neutralizing the damage delayed by Dance of Death. At the same time, a pleasant warmth spread through his body as if he had been pampered by an expert blind masseuse. Utterly relaxing and invigorating. So this was what being healed felt like. But the color was a bit disappointing. Energized by the beautiful healer, Jiang Yang charged at the foul giant lizard, black gold ancient blade in hand, ready for close combat. If it weren't for the unique properties of the black gold ancient blade, Jiang Yang would likely have been half crippled by the time he landed after jumping down. Of course, this also had something to do with Jiang Yang's combat experience. His current combat style could be described as all stats, no skill. One must sharpen one's own foundation. It seems necessary to train his combat techniques. Jiang Yang glanced around. The commotion from the fight with the filth giant lizard had attracted many zombies. These zombies weren't just attacking him. They were also attacking the filth giant lizard. After all, they weren't the same species, nor from the same place. He had to end this quickly. The virus carried by the zombies was contagious, but Jiang Yang had only injected Captain America's serum and hadn't become a class holder, so he didn't know if he was immune to the virus. The filth giant lizard's massive body attracted many zombies while the 3 people upstairs frantically attacked, drawing the lizard's attention. Jiang Yang seized the opportunity to approach the filth giant lizard. A faint glint flashed in his eyes, and then the black gold ancient blade emitted a silver glow like a crescent moon. His spiritual energy was drained, bringing a brief, dizzy spell. Weapon skill: Crescent Moon Slash. The black gold ancient blade shimmered with silver light, its blade extending 7 or 8 meters, leaving a huge scar on the ground. The filth giant lizard let out a pained roar, a line of blood appearing on its thick neck. Several nearby zombies were also cleaved along with it. Brother Jiang. Yi Qingwei once again gathered a green light and tossed it toward Jiang Yang. As a warm current flowed through his body, Jiang Yang regained some clarity. Holy crap. That skill had just drained nearly over 40 points of his spirit. It was as if he had been completely drained. That was why he felt that brief dizziness. His spirit had been drained too much. And the power of this skill was immense. One slash killed the filth giant lizard and also took care of several zombies nearby. A warm current traveled from the hilt of the black gold ancient blade to Jiang Yang's hand, then flowed through his entire body, healing his wounds and relieving fatigue. First victory exhilarating. Jiang Yang walked over to the head of the filth giant lizard, used the black gold ancient blade to pry off its teeth, and also retrieved a small green bead from within the skull. Name: Swamp Poison Bead. Level 1. Description: obtained from killing the filth giant lizard, can be used to reinforce a weapon, granting it poison attribute. Not a bad haul. Jiang Yang stored the teeth and poison bead into his space inventory and turned to look at the approaching zombies. The filth giant lizard was a level 1 monster, but most of these zombies were still level 0. Within about a week, these zombies would all advance to level 1. By then their speed and strength would increase significantly, making them very hard to kill. And at this very early stage of the apocalypse, these zombies' strength and speed were even less than a child's, and some had missing limbs, limping as they walked. This was the easiest time to kill zombies. At that moment, the 3 people upstairs were all stunned, their bodies frozen. Xiaowan even rubbed her big bright eyes. Holy crap, what did I just see? The young master swung a silver light, and then he cleaved that monster. When did this kid become so formidable? The young master, who only knew how to play with girls all day, would be lucky if he wasn't kidney deficient. How could he have such combat prowess? It seemed she needed to get to know her young master all over again. Amidst her astonishment, Xiao Wan's lips curved into a joyful smile. Now that the world had ended and the young master had become so strong she no longer had to worry about his safety. Perhaps she would even need him to protect her. Thinking of the young master she had always taken care of possessing such a side, Wan felt a sense of. As for Wu Lei, after the shock he fell into silence. He clenched his fists, craving greater power. Otherwise he could never repay the young master's kindness. He knew his intelligence was certainly lacking. His only use was to be a hired thug. If his master was stronger than the thug, what was he needed for? Actually, he was overthinking it. Zhang Yang just wanted a disgusting meat shield. As for Yi Qingwei, besides shock, there was more admiration. Brother Jiang knew so much as she had become an esper, so Brother Jiang must be extraordinary too. And Brother Jiang had indeed not lied to her. The moment danger came, he rushed out. To protect me. I must make good use of my ability and not let him. Seeing that Zhang Yang had dealt with the lizard monster Wan immediately took out his safety rope and threw it down. Young master, come up quickly. Put it away for now, I have other plans. Zhang Yang swung his blade and killed a few zombies. At this stage the zombies were all very clumsy and slow. With Zhang Yang's physical ability, 5 times that of an ordinary person, they were no match. That being the case, should he go and take Yi Fan's opportunity first? Zhang Yang looked toward Linjiang University. Their high-end hotel was very close to the university. Barring any surprises, Yi Fan must have also arrived near Linjiang University, probably planning how to get in. Facing Yi Fan, who had 7 years of apocalypse experience, Zhang Yang felt some pressure in his heart. With that thought, a resolute glint flashed in Zhang Yang's eyes, and he waved toward those upstairs. You 3 hide well. I'm going to Linjiang University. They'll explain when I get back. Having said that, Zhang Yang sprinted toward Linjiang University. The hotel had been reinforced in advance and would be safe for a while. Monsters like the filth giant lizard were rare and wouldn't appear again anytime soon. Right now what he needed to do was take Yi Fan's fortune first. That inherited profession was the very foundation of Yi Fan's future rise. At the same time, Zhang Yang needed to find someone. Lin University's campus belle, the ace of the Kendo Club, and a future superpowerhouse. One person's strength was minuscule. Zhang Yang needed a team, one that could stand firm in the apocalypse, and he had already chosen the members. At the very least, in the original story, none of Yi Fan's teammates could be missed. Zhang Yang simply had to take them before Yi Fan did. A crunching sound came from not far away, the noise of bones being crushed. Qiu-chan, wearing her Kendo uniform, hid inside the closet. Through the gap in the closet door, she could see an ugly monster wandering around the Kendo Club's practice hall. Most of the classmates and teachers had now turned into monsters like walking corpses. I never thought that the fantasies from movies and novels would become reality one day. Qiu-chan murmured, her gaze falling on the weapon rack of the Kendo Club, which was filled with wooden practice swords. At the top, there was an ancient tangdao. It had been there ever since her first visit to the Kendo Club, said to be a collection from the founding of the school with a history of several hundred years. As for why there was a tangdao, well, blades and swords were not greatly divided. The neighboring island nation's Kendo also used samurai swords to slash about. Tearing zombies apart with bare hands was obviously impossible, so her next course of action was clear. 1, 2, 3. Qiu-chan counted the zombies inside the Kendo Club. There were 5 in total. Besides these, there was a zombie with an especially long neck, perhaps some kind of variant zombie. 6 in total. Could she handle them smoothly? Qiu-chan took a deep breath. This wasn't like daily Kendo practice where there was no risk of life or death. She had to be cautious. She roughly estimated that she was 5 meters away from the weapon rack, while the nearest zombie was only 3. However, these zombies were very mindless. Qiu-chan believed that if she stayed calm and performed normally, it wouldn't be a big problem. In that instant, a firm, sharp light burst from Qiu-chan's eyes. At the same time, she violently pushed open the closet door, her lithe body leaping like a cheetah toward the weapon rack. As she had anticipated, the surrounding zombies, alerted by the noise, all lunged at her. Zhang Yang sprinted swiftly. His physique, 5 times that of an ordinary person, made him move like a gust of wind. Common zombies, upon detecting his movement, could not even approach him in time. According to the original records, the inherited profession obtained by Yi Fan was located on the bridge of Taihu Lake behind the school. He was also a student of Linjiang University and naturally knew the direction of Taihu Lake. Thinking of Taihu Lake, Zhang Yang had investigated some information in advance. Taihu Lake at Linjiang University was not built at the time of the school's founding. It existed before the school was established, a small lake with many years of history. Things that have existed for a long time with stories and history may turn into legendary artifacts or weapons. The same principle applies to scenic spots with a long history, which may even form blessed lands or celestial grottos. Existing before the school's founding meant it had at least 100 or 200 years of history. Zhang Yang did not know what had happened in between and could not investigate, but knowing where the opportunity lay was enough. Zhang Yang did not conceal his whereabouts after all those zombies reacted slowly. By the time they registered what was happening, he had already run far away, making it impossible for them to catch up. However, Linjiang University was not only filled with many zombies, but also some students who had not yet turned. The commotion Zhang Yang caused naturally drew their attention. However, Linjiang University was not only filled with many zombies, but also some students who had not yet turned. The commotion Zhang Yang caused naturally a group of people crowded by the window in a teaching building, their faces filled with shock as they watched Zhang Yang dash across the campus. His speed beyond human limits made them all widen their eyes. Two young and immature men shouted with full admiration, "Bro, save us. We want to follow you." The two leaned out and yelled with all their might, but their classmates quickly covered their mouths. "Are you too sick? That'll attract the zombies. What's there to fear? Isn't there a Flash down there? Damn, did you see him wearing? He's not the real Flash. Is he going to save us? It'd be good if he doesn't get us killed." Several companions pressed down firmly on the two. Just then the classroom door began to be slammed. "It's all your fault. Now the zombies are drawn here." "Damn." A group angrily pinned the two who had been shouting for help to the ground. Similar situations occurred many times. Many survivors inside Linjiang University hid in classrooms, all catching sight of Zhang Yang's figure. From initial shock, to excitement, and finally to curses, Zhang Yang dashed toward the back of the school. He had certainly heard their cries for help, but what did that have to do with him? Aside from being of the same species, there was absolutely no connection. Strictly speaking, Zhang Yang was not even a person of this world. Why on earth should he save them, when there was not even a shred of relation? Finding the opportunity was the most important thing. Saving people was the protagonist's duty. Zhang Yang was only responsible for seizing the protagonist's opportunities, then enjoying the protagonist's women and others. That was Zhang Yang's ultimate goal. Linjiang University was vast, but with his five-fold physique, he moved like the wind and quickly arrived at the back of the school. The back hill of Linjiang University was actually a small artificial hill, a scenic spot within the campus, and a place where many people had midnight rendezvous. Arriving here, a familiar memory surged up. Zhang Yang felt somewhat helpless. The original owner truly did not do anything human. He had actually slept with several girls on this very hill late at night. All in the same place, just different times. It was as if the girls formed a queue. The original owner was a freak. Even 6 kidneys wouldn't withstand such abuse. Without supplements, he would probably have died long ago. But now, relying solely on his physical condition without drugs, Zhang Yang might even surpass the original owner's record. Taihu Lake was right next to the back hill, but Zhang Yang stopped at that moment. Someone seemed to be at Taihu Lake. In the original story, there was no one when Yi Fan came for the opportunity. No. In the original work, Yi Fan came for the opportunity one day after the apocalypse began, not at this time. If the timing didn't match, would the inherited profession fail to appear? Zhang Yang recalled the scene from the original. Yi Fan arrived at the bridge over Taihu Lake, opened a secret realm, entered a trial-like challenge, cleared it, and obtained the inherited profession, the Dragon Totem. If he came too early, would this secret realm not appear? Zhang Yang's face darkened at the thought. Just then a sudden scream came from Taihu Lake. "You bitch! How dare you fight back?" A fashionably dressed young man was beating a girl violently. It was Gu Tao, the one who had given Zhang Yang a pillow when he was showing Yi Qingwei around campus. An old acquaintance. Zhang Yang crouched behind an artificial hill, lying in ambush to observe. On the artificial hill were the corpses of dead zombies, their heads and bodies smashed. Presumably this group had done it. After finishing with the girl, Gu Tao flattered a scar-faced man with a sycophantic smile. "Brother Yong, let her go in first, shall we?" The man called Yong patted Gu Tao's head and asked coldly, "You're not a good fellow, are you? Even if she was your woman, you just discard her like that. Hey, what's the big deal, eh?" Gu Tao casually lit a cigarette for the scar-faced man, his face full of flattery. "I've had plenty of women. She's just a gold-digging slut. Besides, who says there's danger inside? Haha, then let her go." After Brother Yong spoke, Gu Tao grabbed the woman by the hair and dragged her onto the Taihu Lake Bridge. "No, Gu Tao, let me go. I can do many things. I'll be your servant." The woman begged, but Gu Tao paid no attention. The Taihu Lake Bridge was curved, divided into black and white sections. At the junction, there was a small pavilion, and within that pavilion appeared a portal. The portal shone with a golden halo. This was the secret realm entrance. Zhang Yang lay on the artificial hill, carefully observing it, while recalling the plot from the original work. Yi Fan had come here one day after the apocalypse began, but now the secret realm had already been discovered. Presumably, all these people would die inside. Secret realms came with dangers. Everything in the apocalypse had a price tag. To obtain an inherited profession, one had to bear the risk of death. There were nearly 20 people at Taihu Lake, including 8 or 9 young hoodlums wearing tight clothes and beanie shoes. The rest were Linjiang University students, 5 males and 6 females. Now 5, because the one Gu Tao had dragged had already been thrown into the secret realm entrance. "Brother Yong, when do you think she'll come out?" Gu Tao clapped his hands and approached the leader of the young thugs, but as he was about to smile, he heard a slap. He was stunned by Brother Yong's sudden slap. Weren't you just utterly indifferent to that woman moments ago? So why the sudden concern? And Brother Yong took a deep drag of his cigarette then, without waiting for Gu Tao to respond, barked orders at his underlings to beat him mercilessly. Damn you, Gu Tao, you've been leaning on your family's wealth all along, treating us like your personal enforcers, do you have any idea who that woman was? My first love. What the hell? She's already been used up by you, Brother Yong signaled to over a dozen hooligans who swarmed Gu Tao in a brutal assault, while Zhang Yang watched from behind a rock garden, fascinated, almost delighted. Just then Zhang Yang suddenly recognized a familiar face. In among the 5 male students stood one with a swollen, bruised face. Wasn't that his own subordinate? The original owner, a scion of immense wealth, naturally commanded a circle of loyal companions. In that puffed-up, pig-headed youth was Li Shun, one of Zhang Yang's underlings. A second-generation heir of modest means Li Shun had known the original owner since middle school. And though their family statuses differed vastly, Li Shun possessed unwavering loyalty and easygoing sincerity, qualities that earned him Zhang Yang's deep trust. Damn it, and what kind of mess is this? Zhang Yang sighed in dismay. In his memories, Li Shun ranked among the original owner's rare genuine friends, a bond forged over several years. To see him perish here would be a profound loss. This is utterly absurd. Zhang Yang cursed under his breath. He'd stumbled upon an opportunity, only to find his own subordinate captured by strangers. Wasn't this precisely the sort of trope reserved for protagonists? Such scenes abounded in the original novel, yet they were meant for Yi Fan. Had Zhang Yang, by seizing the protagonist's destiny, also siphoned fragments of his narrative fate, pulling these plot threads into his own orbit. Reality more often than not outstrips fiction in sheer absurdity. At Taiji Lake, Brother Yong and his gang finished beating Gu Tao, then hurled him unceremoniously through the gateway into the hidden realm. They then stood guard on site, timing the interval, and lined up the remaining men to wait their turn. So they intended to test them one by one. And how brutally efficient. I approve. Zhang Yang couldn't fathom how these rowdy youths had even gained admission to Linjiang University. Yet after the apocalypse erupted, such youths undeniably thrived earlier than many students. Bold, ruthless, willing to kill without hesitation. In the ruins of civilization, that was the only viable path forward. Their sole flaw lay in their lack of cultivation or restraint. Prone to arrogance, so extreme, they forgot kinship, mistaking themselves for chosen ones, for sons of the realm. A wild, ambitious grin now spread across Brother Yong's face. He swept his gaze across the campus, its elegant pavilions and tranquil courtyards, places once utterly inaccessible to men like him. But when the apocalypse struck, they slipped in amid the chaos, slew several zombies, and captured a group of students. His eyes flickered with lust as he surveyed the 6 cowering female students huddled together, but he restrained himself. In the apocalypse's earliest hours, amassing strength reigned supreme. Later, women would be plentiful. Aside from Li Shun, who had been dragged aside and beaten alone, the other 4 male students huddled together in trembling silence. Seeing their cowardice, Brother Yong silently resolved to subdue them for now, not crush them outright. They could serve as expendable assets. After all, even a cornered rabbit bites. He pointed to the least attractive of the 6 female students and ordered his underlings, drag her out, toss her into the hidden realm to scout the way. Clearly Brother Yong had already deduced the nature of the portal before him. And no sooner had the words left his lips than Li Shun, face battered and swollen, burst forward in furious charge. You wretched dogs, dare you lay a hand on my woman? And though plain in appearance, she had been Li Shun's first. Go to hell. And Li Shun stood no chance against Brother Yong. Before he could close the distance, a single kick sent him flying backward, whereupon several hooligans instantly closed in. Witnessing this, Zhang Yang abandoned stealth and strode forth. Boss, someone's here. None hooligan barely uttered the warning before collapsing, his chest pierced clean through by a black longsword. Zhang Yang yanked the blade free and lunged toward the remaining thugs with lethal speed. Killing. This was no longer foreign to him. He had steeled himself for it the moment he crossed into this world. In the apocalypse, murder and plunder were mundane affairs. Typically in such scenarios, the protagonist would step forward, negotiate, stall, then through wit and cunning break free, eliminate the thugs, and rescue loved ones. Zhang Yang was different. He was no chosen one. And he occupied the opposite pole, the antagonist. And the most common death for antagonists. Talking too much. So Zhang Yang chose slaughter, swift, merciless, silent. A predator, not a performer. And earlier atop the hill, he'd studied the corpses of slain zombies, their skulls and torsos shattered by heavy blows. Evidently, they'd been overwhelmed by coordinated group attacks, organized yet utterly devoid of technique. And how many ordinary men could Captain America take down? Zhang Yang had once seen that question on Jihu. And now he knew the answer: 9 hooligans. Effortless. His physical prowess, fivefold beyond that of a normal human, was not merely additive. It was exponential. 1 plus 1 yielded far more than 2. And within half a minute of entering the fray, all 9 hooligans were sprinting down the Yellow Springs Road. Their combat capabilities existed on entirely different planes, strength, speed, and durability alike. Captain America's serum enhanced every facet of the human body. These men never landed a meaningful blow. Each attempt felt no more consequential than a tickle. Whoa, Brother Jiang, when did you become this formidable? Li Shun gaped wide-eyed, staring up at Jiang Yang, as though beholding a celestial warrior descending from heaven. The others lifted their heads, murmuring faintly, some recognizing the name Jiang Yang. Xiao Chan moved with ethereal grace, light as a startled swan, fluid as a dancer, her tang sword carving wounds across the shambling zombies surrounding her. She had joined the swordsmanship club less than a year ago, yet swiftly rose to become its undisputed ace. And not due to innate talent, but because she hailed from a venerable martial arts lineage trained since childhood. Mention martial arts, and many envisioned pinecone shakes and lightning-fast 5-strike whips. Yet reality defied caricature. Certain traditional Chinese martial arts retained profound substance. Mastermind, his youth, had journeyed far and wide seeking authentic masters, only to be ignored. In old age, he began weaving fantasies of mastery from memory and hearsay. Xiao Chan slashed her blade deep into a zombie's shoulder, then dipped her slender waist, reversed her wrist, and drove the blade upward, piercing straight through its skull. Only decapitation can truly end them, and her brows twitched faintly. These were former members of her very own swordsmanship club, now undead. Though duty demanded their destruction, her heart recoiled at the act. Moreover, their flesh had rotted, exuding a nauseating stench, overpowering, revolting. Xiao Chan pinched her nose shut, kicked aside a lunging zombie, and fixed her gaze on a grotesque figure nearby, a long-necked abomination. Unlike ordinary zombies, its neck was thick and unnaturally elongated, its face warped with bony plates, its maw bristling with countless needle-like fangs. What an ugly thing! And Xiao Chan spat lightly, her voice clear, bright, and melodious. And she gripped her sword with both hands, lowered her stance, and summoned the aura of a blade destined to sever all existence. Strangely, a faint, exhilarated smile curled at the corner of her lips. And I don't know what has befallen this world, but the visceral thrill of striking solid flesh feels rather splendid. Before the words faded, Xiao Chan dashed out directly. The tang sword performed a flourish in her hand. For some reason, Xiao Chan felt that something was off with the blade in her grasp. Whether it was due to her tension or something else, she kept sensing the tang sword growing warm, and a warm current coursed through her body. Probably an illusion. Xiao Chan dismissed other thoughts, becoming one with the blade, devoting herself entirely to the zombies before her. Knowing the weakness was in the head, she found it effortless to dispose of ordinary zombies. After all, zombies at this stage were still level 0 with slow speed and strength and sluggish reactions. Anyone with a bit of martial arts foundation could easily slay them. The only real concern was the zombie virus. These creatures felt no pain and would bite anyone they caught. After dispatching the ordinary zombies, Xiao Chan began to engage the long-necked one. In the art of slashing, the future female sword saint, the supreme powerhouse, was already hitting her stride. At Taiji Lake, Jiang Yang arrived at the gate of the secret realm. Brother Jiang, are you sure you want to go in? Brother Jiang, it's too dangerous inside. Several people went in and never came out. Be careful. Li Shun and his girlfriend Zhang Yao stood nearby, trying to dissuade Jiang Yang, but recalling the strength he had just displayed, they swallowed their words. Killing 9 thugs in half a minute was definitely not something a normal person could do. Of course, you stay at the entrance and follow me later. Jiang Yang patted Li Shun on the shoulder, and the other's information appeared before him. Name: Li Shun. Constitution 7. Spirit 10. Agility 6. Occupation none. Level 0. Ability none. Skills none. Loyalty 79. Jiang Yang only paid attention to 2 things: loyalty and spirit. Li Shun's loyalty to him reached 79, making him trustworthy and worth taking along. In building his own team, the first thing to consider was not talent or combat power, but loyalty. Clearly, Li Shun was not to be compared with those fair-weather friends. He was a true brother. However, his spirit value actually reached 10. The maximum spirit for an ordinary person was 10. How did this guy achieve it? Jiang Yang pondered for a moment and recalled a scene from his memory. It was Li Shun boasting to the original owner about how many girls he had conquered in one night, and how he managed to finish the last one through sheer willpower after being spent. But later, after Li Shun met Zhang Yao, he stopped chasing girls. The original owner used to tease him. Li Shun replied, "I've had enough fun with beautiful women, but this is the one I want to spend my life with. I've already had my fill. I won't explain further. Just guard the entrance." Jiang Yang glanced at the others. Besides Li Shun and Zhang Yao, there were 4 boys and 5 women present. to prevent any mishap with Li Shun Jiangyang's side, and broke the legs of the other boys. But as he acted, he said sternly, "You cowards! 4 of you together couldn't even muster a single spine. When female schoolmates were being harassed, none of you stepped up except my brother." Instantly, cries of pain filled the air. One should not have a harmful heart, but one must be wary of others. In the apocalypse, the first part could be ignored. Anything that posed a threat should be eliminated as much as possible. After all, he was going against the child of destiny. Zhang Yang took out the black gold ancient blade and stepped into the gate of the secret realm. A dizzying sensation came over him, and then the surroundings changed drastically. After a golden radiance, there was endless darkness, and in the darkness, a huge vertical pupil. Standing before the vertical pupil, Zhang Yang felt incredibly small. Not far from him, a woman lay on the ground. It was Gu Tao and the woman he had pushed in earlier. Zhang Yang walked over to check. Both had no scars, but had lost all signs of life. In the original story, those who failed didn't get injured, but had their souls sacrificed. At that moment, a strange pushing force began to act on Zhang Yang. This was the detection method of the secret realm gate. The force would push people out of the gate, and those who wished to undergo the trial only needed to take a step forward, resisting the push to begin the trial. Zhang Yang took a step forward, and instantly the scene changed again. He found himself in a ruined area, and beyond the ruins a group of zombies stared intently at him. The first level, so familiar. Zhang Yang was very familiar with this part from the original story, where Yi Fan cleared the trial. This was the first level. Those zombies were all level 0, but there were many of them. To pass, one had to kill all the zombies. In the original story, Yi Fan used the surrounding ruins to take them down. But Zhang Yang didn't need such trouble. He raised the black gold ancient blade and went straight in. With a crescent slash, he cleaved 6 zombies at once. The quality of the black gold blade was excellent, and Zhang Yang had injected Captain America's serum and wore a chainmail vest. The first level posed no difficulty at all. It was almost too easy. Zhang Yang wielded the black gold blade with sweeping strokes, a pure stat monster. No tactics needed, just brute force with his equipment. The first level was safely cleared, and the second level began. The surroundings turned into a barren wasteland. This time the monster was a mutated beast, a giant pung bird. 700 meters from Taiji Lake, inside the Kendo Club, the battle had reached a fever pitch. Qiu Chan's eyes were cold as she swung the Tang sword fiercely, leaving a gash on the long-necked zombie's face. Anyone who had watched movies knew that zombies carried the virus, so Qiu Chan had been avoiding a direct confrontation with this zombie. After a few rounds, her stamina was running low, while the zombie, despite being slashed several times, seemed unharmed. Relying on her agility, Qiu Chan had struck the zombie's head and neck multiple times, but none had dealt a The zombie's neck was covered in a very resilient layer of skin, and its head had a bony plate, making it extremely tough. This ugly thing can take a hit, huh? Qiu Chan's eyes were full of caution, but even more they revealed an excited battle lust. Ordinary zombies only gave her the novelty of killing. But this zombie allowed her to fully experience the thrill of combat. However, dragging it out like this wasn't a solution. How could she defeat it? Suddenly, the Tang sword in her hand emitted a warm current, traveled through her arm, coursed through her entire body, and finally gathered at her eyes. What is this? Qiu Chan felt her eyes heat up, and red dots appeared on the long-necked zombie, one on its chin, one on its back. Is it the sword's effect? Qiu Chan murmured, then moved, striking. The tip of the blade hit the zombie's chin exactly where the red dot was. The sound of cracking bone plates echoed. The bony plate on the zombie's face shattered completely, revealing a gruesome face of bare flesh beneath. So that's it. Those red dots are the weaknesses. They are the openings. A slight smile curled at the corner of Qiu Chan's mouth. Since zombies existed, it was no surprise that the sword she held possessed such extraordinary power. Kill you. Qiu Chan lunged at the zombie in one swift step, her figure moving like a dancing butterfly. With graceful steps, she delivered blow after blow, exploiting the zombie's openings. This Tang sword is no ordinary weapon. Qiu Chan's eyes lit up. Zombies had appeared, and this sword had a long history. It wasn't strange for it to have some divine properties, right? This is getting more and more interesting. Qiu Chan's lips curled upward as she wielded the Tang's sword with wide, sweeping strokes. The warm current inside her dispelled her fatigue, rapidly restoring her stamina. Interesting. Let me see what other wonders this sword holds. Qiu Chan moved like a ghost, sidestepping the claws of surrounding zombies, and pierced the sword tip into the zombie's weak points. In an instant, a blazing aura erupted from Qiu Chan. Countless streams of heat surged into her body like dragons. And the zombie, after being stabbed, had its entire upper body explode, as if hit by a truck, its lower half collapsing to the ground. Qiu Chan stood proudly, holding the sword behind her back. So this is all a zombie amounts to. I wonder what other monsters are worth my serious swing. Within the secret realm's gate, Zhang Yang grasped the Qingpeng bird's claw with one hand, while wielding the black gold ancient blade in the other, hacking with all his might. His combat style was crude and brutal, not merely lacking technique. It was utterly devoid of it. Can't defeat you even with a full set of divine gear. Jiang Yang decapitated the Qingpeng bird with a single stroke of his blade. The black gold ancient blade neutralized the delayed injuries. In the original novel, Yi Fan had also relied on this very blade to clear the stage. However, Yi Fan could only delay his injuries for 1 minute, while Jiang Yang could extend it to 10, likely a matter of combat prowess. The third stage featured a black humanoid figure wielding a massive sword. A professionally. The plunderer's insight yielded no information. This shadow was merely a product of the Secret Realm's simulation. In the original novel, this shadow on the third stage was the most common basic warrior. A first-level basic warrior possessing 3 times the physical attributes of an ordinary person and capable of a single skill called broadsword cleave. In the novel, Yi Fan almost met his end on the third stage because the shadow professional's attack power barely exceeded the limit of the black gold ancient blade. The black gold ancient blade had an upper limit to delaying injuries, which varied with the wielder's combat strength. Without a word, Jiang Yang charged in with his blade. The shadow simulated by the Secret Realm possessed exceptional combat skills, but unfortunately it encountered Jiang Yang, superior in physique equipment and abilities. Overwhelming stats. A single force breaking 10,000 arts. Before the black figure could approach, Jiang Yang unleashed a crescent slash, then pummeled it relentlessly. This shadow's combat power was inferior to that of the Qingpeng bird, yet its battle techniques were masterful. But facing the unstoppable Jiang Yang, it could only meet its doom here. Having cleared 3 stages in succession, Jiang Yang sheathed the black gold ancient blade, knowing that the expected 4th and 5th stages would not appear. This Secret Realm was flawed. In the original novel, Yi Fan only later discovered that the Secret Realm had 5 stages. The 4th and 5th were exceedingly difficult, virtually impassable. Yet due to certain special reasons, the 4th and 5th stages would not manifest during this period. But your fortune has now become my stepping stone. The surroundings began to shift, returning to the moment of entry, complete darkness. Within that darkness, however, loomed a colossal body spanning thousands of meters. It was a dragon. A divine dragon of classic Eastern mythology. Waves of draconic might emanated and countless ghastly wounds marred its body, hinting at a battle beyond imagination. Jiang Yang's breath quickened. In the original novel, this Secret Realm was formed by the dying divine dragon to preserve a wisp of its true spirit. That wisp of the dragon's true spirit, the inherited profession dragon totem. The black gold ancient blade emitted a faint glow, alleviating Jiang Yang's injuries, as the draconic might already exerted immense pressure on him. Now Jiang Yang strode toward the dragon's head. The dragon's eyes were closed. Upon its 2 horns a crimson light flickered. That was the dragon totem. He hastened his steps, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth. The black gold ancient blade's limit for delaying injuries had been reached. In the original novel, by the time Yi Fan reached the dragon's side, he had become a bloody mess. Now Jiang Yang could not avoid a similar fate, but he was stronger than Yi Fan, and thus not as miserable. Yet as he advanced, the sound of bones groaning under pressure echoed from his body. The draconic might targeted professionals of different realms. In the original novel, after Yi Fan took the dragon totem, the Secret Realm persisted. The dragon's body vanished, but its might remained. Later, a 5th-level professional entered the Secret Realm, seeking its secrets, only to be crushed to death by the dragon's might. None but the truly resolute could claim the dragon totem. The draconic might targeting Jiang Yang was at an ordinary human level. The Captain America serum was a physiological enhancement, but Jiang Yang remained at his core an ordinary earthling. What Yi Fan could take, I can take too. Jiang Yang looked up, breathing rapidly. The immense pressure had racked his body with agony. He felt as if his blood had stopped flowing. Yet he pressed on his 7 orifices, bleeding from the suppression. The plunderer's insight could not glean any information about the dragon, only causing Jiang Yang's mind to grow hazy. He was but an ordinary man. Jiang Yang's mental fortitude was inferior to Yi Fan's. But he too wanted to survive. The primal instinct to live surged forth, and he pushed forward, reaching the dragon's brow. The totem mark between the 2 horns descended, and countless visions flashed before Jiang Yang's eyes. Amid the starry cosmos, a dragon was locked in battle with an indescribable horror. Jiang Yang could not describe the creature's form. A single glance caused his mind to unravel, his thoughts to warp. He lost his very cognition, unable to describe, unable to convey. Countless images flickered. The dragon lost ground in the fight, dragged into the abyss by that nameless horror, everything twisting into chaos. The final vision was of the dragon's fall, its transformation into this secret realm on Earth. The vision ended, and the dragon totem was etched onto Jiang Yang's forehead. A dragon's roar pulled Jiang Yang back from his dazed and disoriented state. Ding! Plundered the inheritance profession of the Dimension's child. Obtained a vibranium round shield. System space increased by 10 cubic meters. The system notifications chimed, but Zhang Yang sat on the ground, too preoccupied to dwell on these matters. In the original work, Yi Fan had experienced a similar scene when acquiring the dragon totem. However, no matter how perilously described in the novel, it paled in comparison to experiencing it firsthand. In that fleeting moment, Zhang Yang felt as though he had lost all thought, his mind in chaos, his consciousness adrift like a duckweed on a vast ocean. It was akin to feeling that 1 + 1 = 3 was correct. Asatuosi. A name surfaced in Zhang Yang's mind, transmitted to him by the dragon totem, presumably the name of that monstrous entity. He had accepted the true dragon's spirit as the dragon totem, and thus he ought to avenge the true dragon. However, according to the original work, it would be a long while before Yi Fan encountered Asatuosi. Having slightly calmed his emotions, Zhang Yang raised his head. The dragon's body had already sunk into the darkness, heading to an unknown destination, but he had already obtained the greatest opportunity of the apocalypse. A surge of warmth flowed through his body, and Zhang Yang's form radiated a crimson brilliance. On his attribute panel, his numbers were undergoing drastic changes. Name: Zhang Yang. Physique: 150. Normal first-level professionals range 3060. Spirit: 155. Normal first-level professionals range 3060. Agility: 200. Normal first-level professionals range 3060. Profession: Dragon Totem. Level 1. Special ability: none. Skills: Crescent/Plunderers, Spirit Plunderers, Insight, Dragon's Might. Physique and Spirit had directly increased by 100, while Agility had soared to 200, 20 times that of an ordinary person. Normal first-level professionals had Physique, Spirit, and Agility ranging from 30 to 60 points. Having become a first-level professional, Zhang Yang's attributes were several times those of an average first-level professional. Specific information regarding the Dragon Totem profession also surfaced in Zhang Yang's mind. It was exactly the same as in the original work. The Dragon Totem bore the power of the true dragon. As the profession rank advanced, one would gradually master all of the true dragon's strength, eventually growing to the level of that great dragon. At this moment, a circular dragon-shaped mark appeared on Zhang Yang's forehead, a symbol of the true dragon's power. However, the mark was currently gray, requiring Zhang Yang to continuously and proficiently wield the power of a first-level dragon totem before the entire mark would light up. At that point, the dragon totem would advance. Regarding professional advancement, those professions sold at the Apocalypse store required one to have essentially mastered the power of the current level. Promotion scrolls were then needed to level up. For some special professions, like hidden professions and inherited professions, advancement differed slightly. Aside from fully mastering their power, some professions required fulfilling certain conditions, such as slaying a specific number of monsters or consuming certain rare treasures. The dragon totem, however, had no conditions whatsoever. One only needed to continuously wield the dragon's power until the mark was fully illuminated, and then it would automatically advance. Outside the secret realm, Li Shun and Zhang Yao stood by the Golden Gate. At that moment, a zombie covered in blood quietly entered the Tai Chi lake. The black blood mixed with the surrounding lake water. Li Shun and Zhang Yao did not notice, but the male students whose legs had been broken detected something amiss. There's something in the lake. Blood. It's blood. Something is coming. Several male students with broken legs wailed as they crawled toward the edge of Tai Chi Lake, while the female college students screamed and bolted away. Xiao Yao, stay close to me. Li Shun grasped Zhang Yao's hand, his eyes fixed on the blood mass moving through the water. When he noticed it was heading toward them, he gave Xiao Yao a shove. Xiao Yao, you go first. Brotherly, what about you? Zhang Yao clutched Li Shun's hand, her voice trembling. Let's leave first. That monster is almost here. No. Brother Jiang is still inside. Li Shun's expression was resolute. Jiang Yang had told him to guard this spot, so guarded he would. He wouldn't go anywhere. If not for Jiang Yang, he would have been beaten to death by those thugs just now. So Li Shun was determined to carry out what Jiang Yang had entrusted to him. Today, unless he died, he would never leave this place. Xiao Yao, you go ahead. I'll lure the monster over here. Go with those girls. No, brotherly, we'll go together. Zhang Yao hugged Li Shun, unwilling to leave. Meanwhile, the blood mass in the lake seemed to realize the two weren't planning to flee, so it charged toward the other two groups that had already run off. The male students with broken legs were crawling very slowly on the bridge, while the female college students had almost reached the shore of Tai Chi Lake. Just then, the blood mass leaped out of the water. A zombie emerged drenched in blood, almost skinless. Its speed was terrifyingly fast. In an instant, it tore through the female college students, leaving only mangled limbs. Then it charged at the male students and began to feast voraciously. Li Shun turned pale at the sight. The next moment, the zombie was right in front of them. A long tongue extended from its mouth. Its skinless body exposed raw flesh that writhed continuously, utterly grotesque and horrifying. Xiao Yao, will hold it off, run. Li Shun let out a furious roar, prepared to die. But at that moment Jiang Yang reached out from the secret realm gate and grabbed Li Shun just as he was about to rush forward. Don't be reckless. Encountering something like this and not running. Are you an idiot? Following his words, Jiang Yang's entire body shot out from the secret realm gate. In an instant he was before the monster, clamping its neck with one hand. All information about this monster was laid bare before his eyes. Name: Licker. Race: zombie. Description: a more powerful variant of the ordinary zombie. Extremely fast, no eyes, relies on sound to locate prey. Prefers to hunt moving creatures, a ruthless predator. If its range of motion can be restricted, even ordinary people have a chance to kill it. Brother Jiang, didn't you tell me to guard this spot? Li Shun scratched his head. Jiang Yang felt a warmth in his heart. This was exactly the kind of teammate he needed. It was fortunate the two hadn't run. The licker's description clearly stated that it preferred to hunt moving creatures. At this moment the tip of the licker's long tongue split open, revealing a small mouth densely packed with countless fine sharp teeth. It lunged at Jiang Yang's arm, but it felt as though it were biting onto steel and iron. Brother Jiang, watch out. Li Shun cried out in alarm, but he saw Jiang Yang calmly crush the licker's neck. Both were at level 1, yet Jiang Yang's attributes were several times those of an ordinary professional. Killing this licker was almost effortless. A level 1 licker's tongue root had some uses. It could be made into useful items or sold at the Apocalypse store for a decent price. Moreover, a level 1 zombie should have already produced a magic crystal, which could be exchanged for Apocalypse coins at the Magic Stone shop. The licker's ears were tiny organs that could also be sold at the Apocalypse store at a considerable price. In the Apocalypse, the more dangerous something is, the greater the benefits it represents. A mutant zombie is a treasure trove from head to toe. With a swift strike of the black gold ancient saber, Jiang Yang effortlessly dispatched this licker and then began harvesting the useful materials from its body. The mana crystal in its brain, the root of its tongue, its claws, and its ears. The scene was utterly grotesque. A nauseating stench assailed the nostrils. Li Shun and Zhang Yao covered their noses and mouths, too horrified to approach. Seeing this, Jiang Yang waved at Li Shun. Shunzi, come over and help me dissect this monster. Jiang Yang handed Li Shun gloves and goggles, while Zhang Yao had already started vomiting violently. Jiang Yang didn't force her, he simply gestured for Li Shun to put on the gloves and goggles. Brother Jiang, can I skip this? He naturally understood what Jiang Yang was asking of him. At this moment his hands trembled. Even though the licker was dead, he dared not touch it, for its appearance was too horrifying. No, if you want to follow me, you must learn to do these things. Jiang Yang barked sternly. Not only Li Shun, but also Yi Qingwei, Wu Lei, and the others needed to quickly adapt to this world in a short time. Otherwise survival would be impossible. Harvesting materials from zombies and monsters is something everyone in this apocalypse must learn. Li Shun, the world has changed. There will be many more such tasks ahead. If you don't have the courage to carve them up, just fighting zombies and cutting off parts from their bodies is a threshold for many. If Li Shun couldn't cross this threshold, Jiang Yang wouldn't let him join the team. He would only find a place for him to hole up and let fate decide. I have a base outside the school. If you want to come, you must learn something, including your little girlfriend. My team has no room for useless people. Jiang Yang had to make things clear in advance to avoid future trouble. Trembling, Li Shun put on his gloves and, gritting his teeth, began to use the knife to cut off the useful parts of the licker, as Jiang Yang instructed. Though Zhang Yao had been vomiting for a while, once she recovered, she put on gloves and goggles and voluntarily came over to help Li Shun. Seeing this, Jiang Yang felt satisfied. The inheritance of professions was settled. Next was to find that campus bell. Packing up the materials Li Shun had cut off, Jiang Yang led the two quickly toward the Kendo Club. Meanwhile, inside the Kendo Club, only Qiu Chan and a two-headed zombie remained. This was a special monster. 2 heads, 4 arms, and scales all over its body. Its weak points were pitifully few, only a handful, and the zombie was extremely agile. Qiu Chan had already exchanged several rounds with it, but couldn't hit its weak spots at all. Moreover, the zombie seemed to be deliberately draining Qiu Chan's stamina. Unlike previous zombies, this two-headed monstrosity knew how to dodge and seize opportunities to attack. Qiu Chan glanced at her Kendo uniform. There were several tears on it, all left by the zombie. Frowning, she constantly shifted her position while gripping her Tang sword. This two-headed zombie gave her the feeling of facing a wild beast, draining her stamina, searching for her weak points, and aiming for a one-hit kill. Interesting. Qiu Chan's eyes blazed with both excitement and sharpness. The upcoming duel. One misstep would determine victory and life or death. Outside the Kendo Club, Jiang Yang, Li Shun, and Zhang Yao were crouching by the window. Brother Jiang, isn't that our campus belle? Is she as formidable as you? Li Shun's eyes widened. He recognized at once that it was Qiu Chan, the campus belle of Linjiang University. Almost every male student at Linjiang University had once harbored feelings for her. But all of them were turned down without exception for no other reason than that despite Xiao Chan's perfect appearance, her strength and temperament that kept others at arm's length made many dare only to admire from afar. Nevertheless, many still applied to join the Kendo Club in hopes of getting closer to her. Li Shun had once tried, but failed the assessment and was rejected. Upon seeing Li Shun's gaze, Zhang Yao felt displeased and let out a small snort. Li Shun broke out in a cold sweat and quickly tried to soothe her. You two can be lovey-dovey later. Don't disturb me. Zhang Yang gestured for Li Shun and the others to be quiet. He was now observing Xiao Chan's battle. Name Xiao Chan. Physique 10. Spirit 10. Agility 10. Profession none. Level 0. Superpower none. Skills none. Holy moly, this is the peak of ordinary humans. No wonder she's a future superpower house. Zhang Yang was stunned by Xiao Chan's stats. She had already reached the ceiling of ordinary humans. And that Tang sword had an extraordinary origin. It was an aged Qi family saber, a soldier's blade left over from the historical war against Japanese pirates. Its wielder needed an extremely strong will to fight. The wielder could see the enemy's weak points, and every strike on a weak point would deal multiple times the damage and provide some recovery. The two-headed monster battling Xiao Chan was a mutant among zombies called the Twin Demon. It possessed immense strength and agility, and likely due to its two heads, its intelligence was higher than that of ordinary zombies. Zhang Yang's gaze shifted to the dead zombies inside the Kendo Club. Without a doubt, Xiao Chan had killed all of them. Truly worthy of being a future superpower house. With both appearance and strength at the top tier, such a beauty was perfect to grow together with. Zhang Yang was very pleased with Xiao Chan. He pulled out the black gold ancient saber, ready to strike. In truth, the original owner had also approached Xiao Chan, but she had no desire to waste words on such a weakling of a young master. She directly told him that if he wanted to date her, he would have to defeat her, which made him back off. This was even worse than making him take pills to perform 7 times a night. The reason Xiao Chan was a lone wolf was that her strength was too great, and her personality not the gregarious type, so she preferred to act alone. As for Yi Fan, his contact with her came because Xiao Chan sensed his potential to become a strong warrior, so she guided him for a while. Knowing this made it easy. Moreover, the current Xiao Chan was not very strong yet. Show potential. Let her— No. Zhang Yang was confident that he could make her wear high sai and kneel day and night begging for his guide. Inside the Kendo Club, Xiao Chan feigned a step and slashed with all her might at a weak point, but the twin demon saw through it and smacked its 4 arms directly toward her head. Trouble. Xiao Chan retracted her blade, trying her best to evade the twin demon's attack, but it was too late. A warning signal blared in her mind. Just then a figure flashed by. The speed was so great that Xiao Chan almost didn't react. With a bang, the twin demon was blasted away like a tattered sack, its head severed, and all 4 arms snapped clean. Xiao Chan's delicate brows furrowed. Though she hadn't yet seen clearly who it was, she wasn't grateful for the interference. In her view, it was stealing the kill. Though the moment was perilous, she still had confidence in blocking and countering. Just as she was feeling displeased, a hand landed on her shoulder. Zhang Yang inhaled the lingering fragrance from her hair, feeling a stir of desire in his body. Xiao Chan turned about to slap the hand away, but when she saw his face, her eyes suddenly widened. Zhang Yang, you still remember me? Qiu, the campus belle. Zhang Yang flashed a sunny smile. How are you? As a rare curiosity glimmered in Xiao Chan's eyes.